Oh man, it's Friday night. I had an energy drink a couple hours ago. I don't know why. I don't need it. You're in for a treat. I got Denver Gator here.
What's
Denver
up?
Gator,
What's up?
Man?
What up, brother? Let's do this. How you doing, man?
Oh, God,
How are things?
Man. I'm super jacked up. I am super happy that you're here. It's a lot of fun. Funk's excited. Little Dan and a little Denver Gator. He's excited. I know I'm excited.
Right on. That's awesome.
Seriously, it's by the way, this is not the last show of the new year. Not the last show of 2023. I will be live New Year's Eve to watch the Chiefs beat the Bengals and advance towards the playoffs. And that's something that Denver Gator is really excited about. I know that everybody is wanting to see the Kansas City Chiefs win the AFC West and advance towards the playoffs. So I know you're excited.
Well, I have to root for the Chiefs now that we don't have a quarterback.
You know what? We're going to talk about that. And, and Funk comes out here strong. He goes, Denver Gator, I kind of want to hear your thoughts on the Wilson situation. That's a crazy contract stipulation. And we're going to get into that. But I want to talk about something that me and Denver Gator just found out less than an hour ago, and that Trevor Lawrence is not going to play. Trevor Lawrence is actually out as Carolina travels to Duval to play the Jags. And Denver Gator, man, I mean, this is a three-way tie in the AFC South. Now, I was a little bit off when I had Trevor Lawrence winning MVP this year. I mean, just by a hair. But
small hair. Got it by the short hairs.
One of my hairs.
One of your hairs.
My hairs. I'd say I'm off here. And but Trevor Lawrence not playing in a key game. Now they are at home. They are playing Carolina, but man, CJ Beathard in, Trevor Lawrence out. What are your thoughts?
Well, this year seems to be the year of the backup. Seems like everybody that's the starting QB, they go down and their backups end up performing. Beathard or Beat Hard, however you want to say it. He knows the system. He's been there for the whole entire season. And you are playing Carolina. So
we're not even 4 minutes into
it's not that bad. It's not like you're playing Miami or anything. Oh yeah, Beat Hard.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it says. It's how it's spelled. It's Beat Hard. I mean,
that dude got picked on in school, like he had to. Like,
for those of you who are old enough to remember, if you're asking if he is related to Bobby Beathard, the answer is yes. That answer is yes. It's his. It's actually his. It's like his great nephew or something like that. He is related to for those. There are probably not too many people. I know you know who Bobby Beathard is, Denver Gator, but maybe a lot of people watching are not going to know who that is. So
I'm trying to remember who he is.
He was the general manager, longtime general manager, put together the Hogs of Washington. And
right. That's right. The Hogs.
Yeah,
yep.
Hall of Fame GM. Chris Clegg. Now, this is me and Chris have known each other since junior high. Chris is traveling to LA to watch the Chiefs play the Chargers in the Charger West Stadium. How cool is that? I've never been to LA.
Yeah, you guys got a Chargers West Stadium, like a Chiefs West Stadium. Because they don't have any fans.
Yeah, no, him and his brother are going out there. It's going to be awesome. He has sent me a text. He's like, yeah, man, I'm going out there with my brother. And I'm like, can you please send me some pictures? Because I've seen the stadium itself looks really cool. But Chris is kind of a jet setter, man. He doesn't come on here very often because he's too busy going to LA, partying. Him and his brother Chad are just two awesome people. But he doesn't come on here.
That's awesome, though. Like, I would love to see that stadium in person. Like, that is just like a mecca.
He's going to be like partying with Hollywood celebrities and stuff out there. So this is a funny story about Chris. So he worked at a restaurant called Garozzo's years and years ago. It's an Italian restaurant. One of those that celebrities come to. Carl Peterson, the former Chiefs GM, comes into. So anyway, there's this guy kept on coming into the restaurant with Marty Schottenheimer and Carl Peterson, former general manager. And he's like, he's it's something. I can't think of who it is. He's built like a swimmer. His name's Tony something. And I said, is it Tony Gonzalez? And he's like, yeah, he's been in like 5 or 6. This is before the draft. So like Chris knew Tony Gonzalez like before he became a Kansas City Chief.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wasn't he a basketball player too in college?
Huh?
Wasn't he a basketball player in college?
Yeah. So like it was funny because he goes, yeah, he looks like a swimmer. So Chris told me he's built like a swimmer, but he came into Garozzo's where Chris worked like 6 or 7 times. So I was like, there's no way the Chiefs. It turns out to be a Chiefs traded up to get Tony Gonzalez. So like
that's freaking awesome.
Yeah,
that dude's legendary.
Like I don't want to go on a rant here, but me and Chris actually met Andre Rison at a strip club.
Nice.
Chris remembers the story. I know Chris. I don't, but you know what? I'm already going off on a rant. I got coffee here. I don't need it. I had an energy drink, but I see Chris, and me and Chris have a long history. But yeah, me and Chris ran into Andre Rison at a strip club. It's a great story. Great story. But let's get back to the focus here, Denver Gator. I'm already all over the place. AFC South, 3 teams are 8-7. Beathard's in. Trevor Lawrence is out. I mean, it is Carolina, but man, you saw Bryce Young put up over 300. He actually outplayed Jordan Love. They lost 33-30 last week against Green Bay. Here's the other games. You got Vegas at Indianapolis. Of course, Vegas beat our Chiefs, which everybody hated, ruined everybody's Christmas. Tennessee's traveling to Houston. So
they're just going to cannibalize themselves this weekend. But who's Jacksonville play next week for the final game?
You know what? It's an AFC South game, and I forget which one. I want to quote you, Houston. It's actually Tennessee.
For the last game. So they might be saving Trevor until then.
Here's the thing. Indianapolis is going to play Houston the final week of the season, and I'm hoping it's a win in it. I hope it's a win in it. And let me ask you this here, because everybody watch my picks video, because if you don't, you'll get coal in your stockings. It's a great video. I have the Jaguars beating Carolina, but in the video, I assume Trevor Lawrence is going to play. I have the Colts beating Vegas, but my upset picks is I have Tennessee over Houston.
That seems like it would work. Tennessee seems to be playing spoiler. Are they in Tennessee?
It's in Houston.
Okay.
But C.J. Stroud's been out a couple weeks. He's going to come back. He's still my rookie of the year, even though Noda is playing fantastic. I still have Stroud as my rookie of the year over.
What's his wide receiver's name that got hurt a couple weeks ago? Collins, Nico?
Yeah, Nico Johnson. I believe
is he going to be back?
Nico, I believe, is coming back. Tank Johnson, who I know you loved coming out of college, is. Oh,
dude, Tank was insane. I love him.
Yeah, I know. So he's out. So I got Tennessee winning in an upset. I think the Colts win, and I think now I'm gonna level with you. I think Lawrence not playing is huge. I think it's massive. I would rather have Lawrence coming out there barely able to walk than CJ Beathard or Beathard as guy. So,
CJ Beathard.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why he's been in the NFL like 5 years and been on 4 or 5 different teams.
Like Josh Johnson or whatever that guy's name is, like 14 different teams.
Yeah. There's a reason for this, man. I think this is a big deal. But I think Jacksonville's in trouble, and it sucks because about a month ago they were a lock to make the playoffs, and now they're in trouble. But
especially if things swing the way that you're predicting for the Colts and Tennessee games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that what's going to happen is I think the Colts will win. I think the Jags will win. Now, if the now, this game doesn't matter as far as tiebreakers are concerned, but if the Colts win both games and Jacksonville loses one, they'll have the best record, so they'll advance to the playoffs. This game doesn't matter because here's the way tiebreakers work is that losing to an NFC team does not hurt you as much as losing to an AFC team.
Correct.
So let's do this here. Funk says, see all the backup talk, and I'm torn between winning tomorrow night and having a chance to get a better seed and losing to get Hooker week 18. You know, Funk, you have a really good point because that to me, that's game of the week, Dallas and Detroit. If you want to tell me Baltimore, Miami is the game of the week, great. I'd hear that. But you have a good point because if you lose that game, you're going to see Hendon Hooker week 18. And I'm just throwing it out there. Patrick Mahomes' rookie season didn't start till the final week of the season.
Yeah, and guess who he beat?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I remember it too.
I don't remember the team. It was in a stadium, 5,280 feet in the air.
Yeah.
Was that the game he had the left-handed throw? Do you remember? Did he have the left-handed throw that game?
Yeah, I think so. What a bunch of BS that was.
Yeah, everybody loves that. So you have a chance. Let's throw out something else. A week, I think it was week 17. I'll throw out some history here. Maybe Denver Gator doesn't remember. Funk, I'm pretty sure you remember though. Remember Matt Flynn? Flynn?
Seahawks, right?
Yeah. He got the back.
He was an LSU quarterback.
Yeah. Yes, you do remember. He played for LSU for like 9 years. So it was crazy. He entered the NFL draft at 33 years old. It was crazy. He gets the start, throws for 6 touchdowns against a certain team in the NFC North. It was Detroit. So anyway, and then he parlayed that into a huge contract with the Seattle Seahawks. And
then Russell Wilson beat him out in camp.
Yeah, beat him out in camp. Yeah, actually, that's a great story because what happened is he actually beat him out in preseason. It came down to that because it used to be 4 preseason games. They gave Russell Wilson to start preseason game number 3. And he played really well. Matt Flynn.
Can you imagine what their franchise would be like if they would have kept him instead of Russell?
Yeah.
Wow.
And give credit to Pete Carroll. And I'm going to say this about Pete Carroll. And the one thing I love about Pete Carroll really doesn't give a fuck. You could be an undrafted rookie free agent, or you could be a $250 million quarterback. He just plays the best guy. And I think Chiefs fans have argued this with me, and I'm like, no. There's politics in Kansas City, and there's politics for every other team. I don't think there is with Pete Carroll. We have a running back, CEH. He was a first-round pick, and he got the start over a guy, Isaiah Pacheco, a 7th-round pick that was clearly better. But it took some time, but Pacheco finally beat him out. But if both these guys were both, 2nd-round picks or whatever, Pacheco would have been the starter. But
you think CEH is going to be gone after this season?
Yeah, his contract's up, and he doesn't have a spot here in Kansas City, but he'll land on an NFL team. It's not that he's a bad player. It's just that the Chiefs can't afford to pick up the 5th-year deal on a guy that's a backup running back. I mean, because if you pick up that 5th-year deal, the average of the top 5, and he's not worth that. So it'll be a contract loss. Now, it wouldn't bother me if he goes through waivers and re-signs with Kansas City on a cheap deal. That wouldn't bother me at all. But no, he'll be gone, and that's kind of I'm kind of thinking the Chiefs will end up drafting a guy higher than people think, like 2nd, 3rd round, because there's going to be some decent running backs later in this draft. So, Funk says Tank injury was so messed up they basically had him playing tight end on a play designed to go behind the tackle. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
He's way too small for that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
He's way too small for that.
But Tank Dell was one of my favorite players coming into the draft. Yeah,
Mine
Matt
too.
Flynn got paid. Yeah. Yeah, it was funny. Matt Flynn was pissed because he's like, look, I'm not a rah-rah guy, and that's the only reason I lost the job. But it turns out to be Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll did the right thing. Russell Wilson was third-round pick. Richard Sherman, fifth-round pick. Was that the draft they drafted Earl Thomas in the first round? I believe it was.
I think it was.
Yeah, Earl Thomas.
That's when they came up with the Legion of Boom.
Yeah. Earl Thomas
draft
should
was.
be in the Hall of Fame, but he had some weird off-field issues and some problems with Seattle after he got like his big contract. He got kicked.
Yeah, he went all like Antonio Brown crazy
yeah,
for a little bit.
He got kicked off the Ravens for beating up a player during practice. And they're like, dude, you know, and it turned out to be like it wasn't like he was not only did he get in a fight, he was like missing practices, like no reason. It was just like he just didn't show up, and then it was some weird stuff, man. But and one of the best players in NFL history, Earl Thomas, but probably won't go into Canton because some of this weird bullshit. But yeah, Funk, you're right. One of the greatest drafts of all time. Really, really was. Let's go back to the number one thing I really wanted to talk about. In Denver Gator, your guy, Russell Wilson bench, Jason Stidham's going to start. Now, I remember when you guys signed Joe Flacco, all I heard was that, hey, we're going to win a Super Bowl. We got Joe Flacco. You guys signed Russell Wilson, hey, we're going to win a Super Bowl. So Jason Stidham's getting the start. You guys are feeling Super Bowl again, or?
No, I have no idea what was going through Peyton's mind when he did that. I understand they don't want him to get injured because then they would owe him like $31 million, like regardless. And he's basically has played himself out of Denver. I don't see him being back next season.
That's kind of what I wanted to ask, is because that's kind of what I'm thinking too, is that the whole plan is that he's just not going to be back he's just not going to be back in Denver. And,
if you were Russell Wilson, would you want to be back?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to be him back either. And it sucks because I kind of saw this coming once Sean Payton came in, is that I knew this wasn't going to work. But I mean, give credit to Sean Payton for changing his offense. So here's the deal. You give up all these draft picks, you give them all this money, you're going to take the cap hit. By the way, Philly did the same thing with Carson Wentz, and it worked out perfect. The problem is they already had their quarterback in Jalen Hurts, and they were going to give him a shot. Is Stidham that guy?
No. Stidham's a Band-Aid. Stidham is a Band-Aid on an open wound that's just can't be patched up by Band-Aids. Like, seriously, he is.
Stidham's like,
you know what?
NFL team.
Yeah, Russell Wilson didn't fumble the ball twice on a punt return and end up with 6 points going the other way. So you can't blame Russell for that, you know, but he can't work the middle of the field. That's always been his big issue. And you said it from day one that Sean Payton likes to work the middle of the field, you know, like with Michael Thomas and all his other wide receivers. But you've been saying that since day one. And I really thought that Russell was going to take his direction, be a lot better. But Jerry Jeudy's open like 75% of the time. And me and my pops would be watching football, like the Denver Broncos. And it's always Russ rolling out to the right. Okay, here goes Russ rolling out to the right, looking for Cortland Sutton. Oh, there's Jerry Jeudy wide open by 15 yards.
Well,
you got to get rid of one pride. You got to get rid of Russ, not Peyton.
For a while, but Jerry Jeudy would look much better in a Chiefs uniform than he would in a Broncos uniform.
Yeah, hopefully he can take all those drops that he has from Denver Broncos and just add them on to all your drops.
That nobody wants to see that. One Pride has a great.
Oh, I totally want to see that. I totally want to see that.
Nobody wants it. So One Pride has a great question. Gator, get rid of Russ or get rid of Peyton?
Russ.
All right.
Get rid of Russ. Like Sean Payton is probably going to be on his way to being a Hall of Fame coach. But he's a dick. Like I don't know. I don't like the move as in like benching him, but I understand why they're doing it. They're just drawing a line in the sand saying, you know, you had your chance. But I don't know. Russell Wilson didn't fumble the ball twice on a punt return, you know, to 6 points the other way, you know, like he didn't miss an extra field goal or whatever, you know. I don't know. I've always been a Russell Wilson fan. Like when he played for Seattle, I've always been a big Russell Wilson fan. When he came to Denver, I thought, okay, this is going to be good. And then they hired Nathaniel Hackett, and it's like, why are we hiring people like this? You know, like ever since Peyton Manning left, you know, we're just hiring every coach that we can, just Fangio and Vance Joseph and Nathaniel Hackett. It's like these guys have never had head coaching experience before. And Fangio's used to calling his defense from the booth. You put them on the field. Yeah, they had an incredible defense under Fangio, but we also had Joe Flacco and Drew Lock and Trevor Siemian. Golly, man.
That offense was so hard to watch. And it was really a shame because that defense was really good under Fangio. But
if we could have just gotten an offense that was not Pat Shurmur vanilla ice cream, you know, like we would have done all right.
You really
Pat
would.
Pat Shurmur was terrible as an OC. Like I don't know how that guy ever got a head coaching job, and especially how he keeps getting jobs. That guy is terrible.
So Denver Gator loves Shurmur. You heard it here, folks. And Funk says Russ was protected by Peyton this year. That's kind of what I thought. I think Peyton, Sean Payton did a fantastic job. I mean, remember they were 1-5 and just
1-5
around, and they did it through doing what Russell Wilson excels at: play action, passes. Made some changes on defense, cut some players, got some extra draft picks. Really made some changes, I think, on both sides of the ball. That running back, that rookie free agent, I've never heard of. They gave him the ball a little more. Javonte Williams, guy that me and Denver Gator have been saying belongs in a Chiefs uniform.
Right, him and Pacheco.
God,
wow, that would be
fun. That would be fun.
I would have to throw up like every Sunday. Like I would just lose my chunks every Sunday if Pookie played for the Chiefs. Oh, I'm getting sick just thinking of it now. No.
One Pride says, "Hey Gator, I want to apologize for Sean Payton being an absolute buffoon." But it's funny. I think me and Denver Gator agree that Payton's done a good job. It's just that this isn't going to work, and it looks like they've drawn a line in the stand. So let me throw a trick question at you, Denver Gator. What are they going to do in 2024? Russ is going to be gone. Is it the draft? Stidham's not.
I think they draft a quarterback like Penix Jr., Bo Nix, somebody late in the first. And then I think they're going to go to free agency, pick up somebody like Baker Mayfield or some other team that's just kind of like on the fringe of getting rid of their quarterback. I don't know if Baker's going to stay in Tampa, but get a veteran, that Sean Payton can actually talk to.
Gardner Minshew, I think, would be perfect.
Gardner Minshew would be huge in Denver because Denver fans love Gardner Minshew.
You already mentioned Baker Mayfield. I think that would work perfect. I think Baker Mayfield, would work really good with Sean Payton. I'll throw out a name, even though he says he's going to retire. But Teddy Bridgewater, I think, would work perfect for 1 year.
Well, Teddy rocked out underneath Sean Payton. He was 5-0.
Yeah, I forget. Yeah, they're with the Saints. But yeah, I think you got a good point. Funk asked a great question. Since the Hall came up, do you think Torrey Holt gets in this year?
God, I hope so.
You know what?
It's been forever.
I should have brought that up, Funk, because the list came out. I'm gonna see if I can bring it up here, because the list came out, and there was a bunch of names on here that I really liked. And I'm gonna level with you. Torrey Holt didn't stand out as one of the guys who should have got in. I'll tell you, the number one guy, and I was convinced he was going to get in last time. I'm trying to find it here, was Andre Johnson. I could not figure out why Andre Johnson wasn't in last year. I thought if you didn't get a chance to watch Andre Johnson play, forget the notes, forget the stats, forget everything. Just, dude, this guy just was dominant on another level. I can't find it.
And not only that, he is like the quietest player of all time. Like he never talked in the press, never talked smack to anybody, never came out in the media and said something that was bad. He like very seldom talked. He was like, I'm just here so I don't get fined mentality, you know, like, but he never talked, never did anything on social media. Yeah, I'm a big Andre Johnson fan. Like those are the kind of wide receivers I like. Him and Moss, you know, Megatron, those kind of big, dominant receivers.
Dude, and when you say dominant, you couldn't say it any better. Like the guy was just dominant. I mean, just completely dominant. And I apologize because Funk, this is such a great question, and I'm trying to find the list of players right now. Okay, here it is. And then here's the list here. I'm going to read this off here, and so here's the finalist lists here, and okay, there's a commercial playing in the background I can't get rid of. All right, so I'm going to read this off here. Let me see. I'll start off top to bottom here. Eric Allen, for those of you that don't know, really good corner, played for the Eagles. Jared Allen played for Kansas City, but mostly famous for playing.
I'm a big Jared Allen fan growing up.
Jared Allen's pretty awesome.
I'm a big Jared Allen fan.
And I apologize because like there's like 8 pop-up commercials that came when I pulled this list up here. Willie Anderson played tackle mostly for the Bengals. Really, really good player. Jahir Evans, really good lineman for the Saints. Dwight Freeney. Freeney's going to get in the Hall of Fame sooner.
Freeney's a freak.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Antonio Gates. That guy's going into Canton. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah, if you had to push out Antonio Gates for a year or two, I could see Torrey Holt getting in that place because
Rodney
Torrey Holt's been retired for a lot longer than Gates has.
Yeah, actually he has, and I agree with you. I would put Holt belongs in the Hall. So we got Rodney Harrison. Here's a good one. Let me throw this one out. Denver Gator here. Devin Hester.
The human joystick.
Well, that was Dante Hall, but Devin Hester easily the best punt kick returner in NFL history.
Did he play for LSU?
No, he played for DU.
Miami. Oh, Miami. Okay, that's right.
Yeah. Torrey Holt, Andre Johnson, Julius Peppers. By the way, Julius Peppers will be in Canton someday. It's just a matter of time. Fred Taylor. A guy I absolutely love, but I would love to see get into the Hall. I don't think he gets in this year. Reggie Wayne.
Where did he go to school at?
I don't know. He went to some
southern school. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
By the way, for those of you that don't know, if I remember my history correctly, Fred Taylor actually replaced Emmitt Smith as the tailback there at Florida, if I remember correctly. So I was like,
I think you might be right on that. Like,
it was like Emmitt Smith. I think there was one guy who might have been there for like a year or two before Fred Taylor, but it was like Emmitt Smith and then Fred Taylor. And also it was just like where the fuck are they getting these running backs from? I mean, this is just
cheat codes.
I guess so.
Those guys are cheat codes for the Gators.
I love Fred. Yeah. Reggie Wayne, by the way, Reggie Wayne eventually will get in the Hall of Fame. Probably not this year. Darren Woodson, a longtime safety for the Cowboys, really good football player. Then this guy is going to be in Canton, by the way. I don't know if this is his first year. No, I don't think it is, but Patrick Willis. You remember how good Patrick Willis was?
He's a linebacker, right? No.
Yeah, 49ers linebacker. Only played
linebacker. Okay, gotcha.
Did not play very long, but oh god, he was so dominant. So out of those names,
didn't he quit because of like the concussion protocols coming out? Like, was that the guy that like got scared of the concussions and just quit?
I think that was it, because he retired at 28, and God, he was so good. Like, he played another 2-3 years. Seriously, if you talk about like the best inside linebackers of all time, Patrick Willis, like when he played, he was as good as anybody. It's just that, you know, he retired at 28. I believe it was concussion issues. But I'm looking at this list, Funk. I don't think Holt gets in this year. I don't think he does. I would put Andre Johnson in. I personally would put Dwight Freeney in. I think those guys. I want to say Jared Allen, but I could see him getting kicked out. I would put Gates in. I would put Julius Peppers in, because there's only 5. And I'll be honest, this is kind of a Dan bias. I would put Patrick Willis in over Torrey Holt. Actually, I would put Patrick Willis and I would put Reggie Wayne in before. So. Denver Gator, did I get it right? Did I get it right, or should Torrey Holt get in instead of one of these other guys?
I don't know. Like, that's a good class. Like, it's
this is a solid.
You just
class.
named off what 4 or 5 offensive players.
Yeah, I loved Patrick Willis. That would be like, if you want to argue Rodney Harrison, who I had loved, but
I wouldn't think that he would make it this year. I wouldn't think that Devin Hester would make it this year.
Yeah, I would say both those guys are out.
Torrey Holt maybe sitting at 6th.
That's
6th place, 7th place maybe.
Yeah,
I'd like to see him go in, because the Greatest Show on Turf was amazing to watch. Man,
it was so much fun. It was so much fun. Isaac Bruce, who's in, deserves to be in. Falk deserves to be in. You know, Warner, the greatest story of all time.
Yeah, so you got 3 of those guys in. Why not put in like the other guy that helped him out? Like
Orlando Pace is in. What was it? Falk, Pace, Warner, Bruce. 4's in already. Vermeil's in. I'm gonna level with you. I don't think Vermeil deserves to be in the Hall. I know it sounds like a hater move, but I never thought he was great. I thought he was more fun, but not. I would put several other coaches that aren't Canton over Vermeil, but you know, give me, you know, call me a hater. Call me a hater. Yeah, Andre Johnson was 6'3", 230, 235, and he had deep speed. He's
built like Anthony Richardson.
Dude, Andre Johnson was so good. Andre Johnson got screwed. Like, I'll be honest with you, probably the number 1 name on this list to me would be Dwight Freeney, who I think needs to be in the Hall. But first time, the 2 biggest names that are first time guys are Julius Peppers and Antonio Gates. And
I like Julius Peppers a lot. Did he end his career at Carolina, or
no? He went. I know.
Did he go to like the Packers or something like that? Like later on,
I think he went somewhere else. I know he's at Green Bay for a little bit. Let me see here. Yeah, he was in Chicago for a few years, and he ended in Green Bay. But then he went back to the Panthers. Yeah, he had his like final season with the Panthers.
Okay,
yeah.
That's what I thought. He finished off his career actually in Carolina.
Yeah. You know, One Pride brings up a really great point. Let me see here.
I don't want Jimmy G on our team. Like, I don't want Jimmy G.
Imagine, one pride. Imagine Sean Payton with Goff. When if Denver
we would dominate.
Yeah, Denver breaks the bank with Jared Goff. That actually makes a little bit of sense. I would
love to have Jared Goff on there. Like, I think that dude is smart. He's a baller, and I don't know. Like, I'm reading that comment too.
One Pride 40's on fire today. I love it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's why I lost my train of thought.
He's doing a great job coaching, but yeah, Sean Payton's kind of a dick. I mean,
he totally is. Like, and like, he's snarky, he's snobby. It's my way or the highway, and he's proven that. And yeah, Funky's right. Goff can play the middle of the field, and I don't know, if I was a Lions fan, I wouldn't want to get rid of Goff. I know Hendon Hooker's like on the back burner, but hell, man, the last 2 years that Goff has been playing for the Lions, he's made them relevant. Why would you? Why'd you want to get rid of him?
If you make the move for Hendon Hooker, like, you have to be completely sold, and it's not a fair comparison. But
no, not by any measure. They are two different players altogether.
Yeah, I mean, you got Alex Smith in Kansas City, who had he was a really good quarterback. I think Alex Smith and Jared Goff can be kind of comparable. Different type of players, but comparable as far as how good they are. And then you had Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, if you're convinced that Hendon Hooker is head and shoulders, because the Kansas City Chiefs were convinced Mahomes was better than Alex Smith. If you're convinced Hendon Hooker isn't the same, but he has to be better, then you make the move. Because the Chiefs ended up getting, if I remember right, it was like a first-round draft pick from Washington, and then we got a corner who was really big in helping us win the Super Bowl against the 49ers. I'm drawing a blank on the corner's name. He actually left in free agency a couple of years ago back in Washington. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but the Chiefs got some additional help. And I mean, you guys mentioned an edge rusher. I mean, I could see Denver giving up one of their edge rushers. I can see them giving up like Jonathan Cooper, maybe. Who else?
I think if the Broncos don't take a quarterback in the first round, I think they go after what's his name, Dallas from Alabama, edge rusher.
Oh, okay, yeah. I could see something like that. I'm looking at Denver's roster, and I'm trying to think of, like, because I could see Denver trading for Goff, but you could if you're Denver, would you want to get somebody like Jonathan Cooper or Patrick Surtain? Surtain was the name I was really thinking of, and then
Surtain's not going anywhere. Like, that dude's like almost Elway status in Denver country. Like,
yeah. I mean, here's my point though: is like you have to give up somebody. You might have to give up somebody really big in order to get them. And that would be like my point. But yeah, I mean, the only way I would do this though is if I'm Detroit, is that you're convinced that Hendon Hooker is better than Goff. I don't know he is. Jimmy G.
Well, if he was, wouldn't they be pushing him to start more? If they saw it in camp or saw it in practices, wouldn't they try to give him more opportunity if they think he's better than Goff or at least equal?
Well, I mean, if Detroit loses to Dallas, they could start him the final game of the season because there's no point in like if Detroit loses Saturday, they're locked into the 3 seed no matter what. They're locked there, so they can rest their starters, and maybe we see Hendon Hooker and I mean, this is a great move. Jimmy G would be great. You could trade your first round pick to the Raiders for Jimmy G. Denver Gator, I think just
I don't want any part of Jimmy G. I don't want any part of Jimmy G, dude.
Come on, Jimmy G in Denver would be awesome. That's a Super Bowl.
No.
That's a Super Bowl match.
For what, 4 games? 4 games? He'd be awesome? Yeah, whatever, man. I'm off on the Jimmy G train.
Oh, God, folks coming in strong today. Jared Allen looked like his favorite hobby was drinking and watching NASCAR. Oh, God. Devin, the Bears returner that literally made teams kick out of bounds. Dude was a threat to score every time the ball landed in his hands. And he was. Devin Hester, I think, belongs in the Hall. I just don't know he gets in this year. So, yeah, we went on a rant about Andre Johnson. I love Andre Johnson. So, I don't see Goff going anywhere. I don't either. I think Denver Gator agrees here, you know.
Yeah, why would you want to give up a franchise
returned.
guy that's actually taking you to the playoffs?
Yeah, exactly. I got the Homeland. The Homeland is a Patriots fan who's back here, man. That's awesome.
Hey, Homeland, in the chat, can I ask Homeland something?
Absolutely.
Hey, Homeland, in the chat, can you reply if you watched the Jackson Kruger picks show?
Let them know. Here, Funk has a great trade here, Denver Gator, and I know you're on board. Golf for Surtain sounds good to me.
I would take that. Like, I don't know.
I was kind of.
I don't know. I love Surtain, but we need a quarterback.
All right.
I'm tired of all these placeholders, Flacco and Drew Lock and Teddy Bridgewater. They're not even good Band-Aids. They're just Band-Aids.
Hooker was on the NFI list until I know he was injured. I actually thought that he would be back a lot sooner, but Hendon Hooker has been out for a while. Oh man. Look, guess who's joining us here? The great one. The B and the Back Talk brothers. The talent. Gooch, welcome, brother. Denver trades Russell Wilson to the Titans.
I would actually like that just because Levis wouldn't get to play. I would love that.
Denver Gator.
I would love that.
Denver Gator loves Levis. It's just Mac Jones to the Broncos. You know, seriously.
No, stop.
If you gave Denver like this would work for maybe a 4th or a 5th round draft pick, but I'm not sure. So
I wasn't sold on Mac Jones coming out of Alabama. Like, I don't know what the. Hello?
No. What were you saying?
Oh, sorry. I was reading that comment for the Homeland.
Oh yeah. I don't know.
I watch a show called Jackson Kruger, and it's these 2 young guys picking games, and I seen his name in the chats.
I'm not familiar, but you said something about Alabama.
Oh, I wasn't impressed with Mac Jones even coming out of Alabama. I don't know what the hype was for him. You know, I really don't. Like, I don't get it. Like, Alabama quarterbacks, I just don't get, like, why everybody just drools over these Alabama quarterbacks.
A Florida Gator fan doesn't like Alabama for some weird reason. I don't get it. Funk says, I never liked golf, and even if the Lions win a chip, I still won't like it. That's fine.
Damn, that's brutal, Funky. Wow, that's brutal. Holy crap. I don't care if he brings us a trophy. Screw that guy.
Gooch says, Justin Fields to the Broncos so they can draft Caleb. How would you feel about Justin Fields?
Well, we had a chance to take him before.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know. I'm not a big Justin Fields. I mean, I like Justin Fields. I think he's good at certain things, but I don't think he's a franchise quarterback.
You know, I think that Justin Fields would not work with what Sean Payton wants to do. But you know what? I got Denver Gator here, so let's talk some college football. And One Pride 40 is going to bring up the first college football question that we got. So Gator, what do you think of Michigan State's new hire?
Dude, that's a great hire. That is going to bring Michigan State back to being relevant. That was a really good hire.
I'm not going to even try to pronounce his name, but they got DJ Smith, who's switching from Oregon State.
Ukulele?
Yeah.
I always just call him the ukulele.
Ukulele. So ukulele is going from Oregon State to Michigan State, and I think that's great.
I'm not sure, but I think the running back went there too.
Yeah, the running back went there also, the quarterback. I haven't been following the recruiting, but I think that's a great hire. And I didn't see it coming because
there's no more divisions, so you don't have to worry about East versus West now in the Big Ten.
Well, you have the 10's going to go to I think it's 24 now. Actually,
it might as well be.
I think it's
the Big 24.
The Homeland says Appalachian State 2023 Cure Bowl champions. Hey, Homeland, it's all college football now. We're ready to go. We're ready to go. And Gooch says because we're not a quarterback school, we're DBU or wide receiver U.
Yeah. Absolutely. I cannot contradict that. But, yeah, the quarterbacks coming out of Bama are just like, I don't get it. Some years running back, I don't know, Garrett Hill or Derrick Henry. Yeah, that might be a good one to pick. Zach Wilson to the Broncos. Now you guys are just being silly.
Zach Wilson. That makes sense. That makes sense. To be honest,
Zach Wilson to the Broncos makes sense. Oh my gosh, what kind of world are we living in?
Oh yeah, we got some love here. I just don't like quarterbacks that have weak arms, no mobility, no pocket awareness. It looks like they've seen a ghost when they hit a few times. Golf is all those, and how long this O-line is going to be here. Like I said,
that's true. I can see that, Funky.
Here's the deal: if you're convinced, here's the deal. And when I say you're convinced, the coaching staff has to see something. Like I heard there's stories, and now it looks like it's true because Patrick Mahomes has evolved, but there was stories that like Patrick Mahomes in when he was the backup quarterback was doing things that were like just jaw dropping, and you could see it. I don't know if you're seeing that with Hendon Hooker, but we didn't hear about this when Alex Smith was the starting quarterback and Mahomes was the backup. So I don't know what's going on, and you're not going to hear about it. But if Hendon Hooker is going to be the starting quarterback going forward, you got to see something.
I agree. And you and I were high on Hendon Hooker. I think I turned you on to him like at the beginning of last season when he was still playing for
I knew about him. I knew
Tennessee.
about him at Virginia Tech, and I liked him. So I didn't know Appalachian State was going to the ACC. So this is the first time I'm hearing about this.
That'd be a good move because
it would be a great move.
I've been an Appalachian State fan ever since they beat Michigan back in the day. Like one of the biggest upsets of all time. I freaked the hell out. I was just watching it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this just went down.
Live, and I remember Mike Hart was a Heisman candidate, and he had no chance after that loss. It was crazy. It was so crazy. And I remember watching this thinking sooner or later, Michigan's just going to turn it on, and they never did. But no, I didn't know about this, Homeland. I didn't know about this. You know what? Let's talk about this because Florida State is petitioning to leave the ACC. Now, me and Denver Gator are not exactly sure where Florida State is thinking about going. SEC is so. Where would Florida State go?
Big 12.
You really think that
they're not going to the SEC? You want to just watch a team be irrelevant in 2 years? Put them in the SEC. I'd be all about it. Like, screw them.
Hey, Oklahoma's going. Texas is going.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They need to fill in some spots for the Big 12.
Well, you know what?
Put Miami in there too.
I heard about this years ago that The SEC wants to go to 16 teams with 4 divisions, just like the NFL. And that's been the plan. So if Florida State goes to the SEC, that's 15. So you need one other school. So I think that makes sense.
I would take North Carolina.
Well,
because they are a football and basketball school.
Me and you talked about this. You think North Carolina? I see Clemson, and I think Clemson and Florida State in the SEC would be a lot of fun. But North Carolina, now they got Mac Brown, and for those of you that don't know, Mac Brown is just, I don't know what he does, but he's bringing in like top, like I think North Carolina currently has a top 10 recruiting class. I could be wrong about this, but he's bringing in.
I think they got a transfer in the portal too for quarterback, like a top-notch transfer. I can't remember if they did or not. I'm pretty sure they got a good quarterback in the transfer portal.
They got somebody. I can't remember who it was. Florida State going to the Big Ten. By the way,
why not? You got the West Coast in there. Why not?
Why not? I mean,
I would love to see Florida State play Iowa for like a 6-2 game, like every year.
So you got Rutgers. So you got the North. I mean, Rutgers isn't. Well, hold on. Syracuse is there too. So Syracuse would be like northeast. Florida would be southeast. You got the UCLA. So you got the
USC.
Southwest, and then you got Washington, which is in Seattle. That would just be awesome.
See, I wouldn't mind them going to the Big Ten, but I would rather have Notre Dame stop being an independent and go to the Big Ten.
Well, they were like kind of a pseudo ACC team, but I'm by the way, one pride, I'm on board. But Denver Gator does bring up something because it's something crazy with the Big 12. They're bringing in UCF. I think Houston, SMU.
Yep.
Yeah, but UCF is going to the Big 12. Florida State going
good
to
for them.
Not that far fetched.
UCF has come a long way in the last like 15, 20 years. Like they keep advancing to the next level.
But I had no idea that Appalachian State was joining the ACC. It's the first time I'm hearing this, and I think it's a great move because I know about the stadium overhaul. And I know about the improvement, but I had no idea that you guys are going to the
2026 makes sense.
It does.
That actually makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. I did. By the way, Homeland, I didn't know about it. But everybody's going. Yeah, everybody is going to the Big Ten. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I like the big super conferences. I really do. I think it's fun. I think it's great. I like the idea of the SEC doing, and this has been a long time coming, going to 16. And the SEC will get to 16, and they will split up into 4 divisions, and they'll play the SEC Final Four, and millions of people are going to watch. Everybody's going to love to see an SEC Final Four. Everybody. It's going to be great. It's going to be absolutely great.
Oh, I'll have to wear a diaper, like old Dan Campbell talking about. I have to bring a diaper for that because it's going to be on.
What do you think of Texas A&M bringing in Elko?
I think that's probably the best decision they've made. I think Elko's a great coach to come in there and set up some culture and some talent.
The coach that got fired, taking like his
Jimbo Fisher is a joke. That
dude. I don't get it because the guy gets the. I don't know, like if you had to say, give me the coach who can recruit better than anybody, Jimbo Fisher. But what was it? Last year he was 5-7 with Devin. Like seriously, the Devin Arcane, A-Chain, the guy who's lighting up.
Yeah,
when he's healthy.
The Miami guy.
All that talent. How do you win 5 games with all that talent? I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Because he's still coaching an offense like he's still playing at Florida State, playing in the ACC.
Is that what you think it was?
Yeah, I think his offense and his mentality was archaic. I think he's a stubborn jackass. Like, good riddance to Jimbo Fisher. Like, Elko, I'm not a big Texas A&M fan, but, I watch a lot of SEC, but Elko's a good hire. Like, they're going to be pretty relevant here in the next 2 years or so.
They should be
Oh, I
relevant.
think Michigan State had the best hire because
I agree.
Because of the conference or whatever that they play in. Like Texas A&M playing in the AC, or SEC, now they're bringing Texas and Oklahoma, on the schedule. I think MSU probably made out better with their coach. I think that'd be more of a long-term, and they're in a position now to win a bunch of games now, like this coming up season, like with the ukulele and the new coach.
Ukulele. That's what I was going to say. It's definitely Michigan State because you're able to get some players that are going to transfer over and instantly improve your team. With A&M, you're probably going to lose some guys.
Oh, yeah, totally. Anybody that Jimbo Fisher recruited, they're probably going to Georgia, LSU, Arkansas, wherever they can go. But yeah, MSU, Michigan State definitely had the better hire. Like
I agree
hands down.
I agree. So let's talk about college football here. I'm going. Where do you want to start, Denver Gator? Which team do you want to talk about first here? You have a bold prediction that you have a game here that you can just bet your life savings on. Which game is that?
Okay, Georgia versus Florida State. If you want, like the beatdown of the week. That's it.
All right. So let me ask you this here. The point spread is all the way up to 20. All the way up to 20.
Yeah, see, when I was doing my notes, it was 14 or 14 and a half, I think.
Yeah.
And it keeps jumping up.
Skyrocketing.
I've got Georgia just lambasting them 35-17. Like, if you want to just, I don't know. Now that it's jumped up to 20 points, 3 touchdowns is hard to cover, especially if I would have went with it at 14 and a half, but 20 is, I don't know, like they just take their foot off the brakes or take their foot off their necks, just to win, get out safely. Nobody gets injured. They could be up 2 touchdowns and just kind of like lay down a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I wouldn't take 20, but out of all the games here, I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia wins this game 27-0. I
don't even think they're going to score. Like, I just gave FSU a couple points just to make it,
They might get a defensive touchdown.
Yeah.
They might get a defensive touchdown. You may get special teams. Here, let me ask you this here. Would Georgia be favored over Texas or Washington?
I think they would be favored in both, but I think they would be more favored by more points against Washington.
All right, so you heard it here. Denver Gator agrees with me that Georgia got completely anal raped and belongs in the college football playoffs.
Gator. I think they did it right. Like, everybody's screaming and hollering about FSU getting screwed, and whatever. That program's just giving up. Like, they'll be lucky to win 8 games next year. Like, Florida State's just a program that just had given up. Oh, we're going to protest the game. Okay, good job. Yeah. Like, nobody cares. Everybody's rooting for Georgia because you suck.
Yeah,
and that's coming from a Gators fan. Like, that's coming from a Gators fan. Like, I hate both of these teams, but I really hate Florida State. And Georgia's just a dominant team. You think Kirby Smart's going to go out there and, like, okay, guys, let's just have fun. No, he's going to dominate. Like, he lost to Alabama. That was like the first time he's lost in like 30 some odd games. He's going to have that team pissed. They're going to come out of that tunnel and just raid him. I was going to say something, but I'll refrain. They're just going to. They're going to skull fuck them.
Fug says Dan Campbell got asked about Hooker when he first started throwing in practice, and Dan blushed and said he throws a beautiful spiral. He looked like a 15-year-old seeing his first set of boobs.
Nice. I love Dan Campbell. Like, I wish he was my coach. Like, seriously. Like, I wish the Denver Broncos would have got I got some good notes on he's Michigan Bama.
All right, let's start there. Michigan, Alabama. So I'm pulling up the point spreads right now live from DraftKings. Now, keep in mind if you use a different betting service and you're putting some action down. I got accounts on almost all of them, but I'm pulling up DraftKings just because I like the way it's set up. I got it saved, but keep in mind if you use something different, let me know. You can, by the way, all my social media is below. If you notice, Facebook's canceled my account. I have no idea why. So you have to hit me up on Instagram and Twitter. By the way, I'm also broadcasting the Instagram live for the first time ever. If you're watching on Instagram right now and you're trying to put comments in, the comments will not stream over to Streamyard. You actually have to go on YouTube, unfortunately, or you can make comments on Twitter. But this is something new I'm experimenting with because of the issues I'm having with Facebook. But DraftKings has Michigan as a 1.5 point favorite.
That's what I got them as. Yep.
Yeah. What? Give us a breakdown here, man. Let's know what you think about this game.
Okay. Now, don't take this wrong, but I'm not going to be SEC biased, even though I typically am SEC biased. So when I'm picking these games, don't think, oh, he's just picking SEC teams because he loves the SEC. No, there's more to it than that. But Michigan, this is going to be the biggest test that Michigan's faced all year. And you're going to give that rat poison to Saban because he lost one game to Texas and then come back and, at the beginning of the season when they lost to Texas, they were an incomplete team. We have literally watched Bama's quarterback, Jaden Milroe, grow up in front of our eyes, evolve into an actually good quarterback. And I think Michigan relies too much on the run. There's 4 or 5 games in a row where they hardly threw the ball at all, 8 times. You're not going to do that against Bama. You are not just going to run the ball down their throat. They are going to stop you. Now, can Michigan's quarterback, J.J. McCarthy or whatever, step it up and actually challenge Alabama's secondary, which I think is elite. I think Alabama's defense is elite. I think Michigan's defense is really good, but not elite. I don't think Michigan has been tested enough in the Big Ten to win this game. The hardest game that they had to play was Ohio State, and they barely won that one. And that's a big-time rival. I get it, but these guys aren't going up against these kind of quarterbacks that the SEC has. So I think I've got the Bama winning 30-27. I think it's going to end up just getting off the rails, and Michigan's going to have a couple of big explosive run plays, maybe a couple of big explosive pass plays. But I wonder if Michigan's wide receivers can get off the line, because if Alabama's corners and safeties start pressing, because of the run game, they're going to jam them. They're going to jam them right on the line and take them off their routes, and they're going to swarm those guys as soon as he catches it. So they need to work on getting off the line, creating separation, which I don't see Michigan doing a lot of. And Alabama's defense, they're going up against SEC teams all the time. Michigan goes up against the hardest defense that they probably faced was Penn State, maybe Ohio State.
Penn State. Penn State probably has the best defense. Ohio State is the best team, but
I think they plan more runs for Milroe, actual planned runs, and they can expose them pretty bad because then they start playing up towards the line, spying on Milroe, and he's going to drop a 65-yarder in the bucket. That's what he does. They run the game, you run the ball a couple times, and then it's just like Russell Wilson. Either we're going to run it for 2 yards or we're going to throw it for 70. There's no in between with Jaden Milroe. So
Well, let me throw out a question here. I'm sorry to interrupt here. I'm dying to know
no,
this. You
go ahead.
mentioned this earlier. I've seen some mock drafts, and they're getting fewer and fewer. So I don't want to. I want your honest opinion here. JJ McCarthy, is this guy a first round pick?
I think if he wins and they actually win the championship, I think he could be a late first. I think McCarthy is at this point right now a late second, maybe an early third. There's nothing about JJ that pops out to me like, wow, that dude's can sling it, or he's mobile. You know, I mean, I know he's a little bit mobile, whatever. I'm not taking that away from him, but he's not a dual threat by any means. And he doesn't have a big arm. I don't know, like I think Michigan did him a disservice of how much they run the ball compared to like letting him just go out there and be a quarterback. So I think he's a late second as of right now. If they lose, he might drop into the third. If he wins, he might jump up into the first in the late 20s and be in the first round.
I got the same exact thing. The only difference is I don't think even if they win a national championship, I don't think he goes in the first round. And I kept on seeing his name, and the more I've been doing more and more mock drafts, I keep seeing him falling out. And
he's not going to impress anybody at the combine either. He might make some good throws, but he's not going to blow everybody out of the gym like Anthony Richardson or
seeing the NFL arm that people keep talking about. I've watched him play several times. I don't see an NFL caliber arm, and
no, not at all.
Good for a college guy. I mean, I'm not seeing a guy who's going to blow you away like Lamar Jackson or like your guy Anthony Richardson. I don't think he's going to have. I don't see him running a 4.4 at the combine.
Yeah, I think he's just going to be average at the combine, even with recency bias. Like if he does win the next two games, I think people are still going to be like, well, they won because it's Michigan. They didn't win it's because of JJ helping them out. Like they won because Michigan has a great defense and a great run game. I'm not a big fan of JJ McCarthy, even if he is a Wolverine, and I hate the Wolverines. So.
Terrion Arnold is a tank. One Pride loves this guy, and we all, I think we all agree McCarthy isn't all that and a bag of chips. I've watched him play, and I was actually floored the first time I heard that he was going to be a first round pick. I forget where it was I first saw it at. I've never seen it.
2 years ago they thought Sam Howell and Ritter is that his name?
Which one?
Ritter and all them, Sam Howell and all them, they were going to be in the first round.
I remember Sam Howell. And Sam Howell, I was on board with. I liked Howell.
Me too. I watched him at North Carolina with Pookie.
Fifth was crazy, but if Hendon Hooker isn't going in the first round, McCarthy this quarter
no way,
is way too good to have McCarthy go in the first round. So
I agree with that 1,000%. Like McCarthy is not anywhere close to any kind of quarterback that has gone in the first round in the last 3 years.
So you see, you got 30 to 27. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Because I think Michigan might actually just. I was going to put it as a lower score for Michigan, but Vegas knows stuff. That's why they put it at the hook at 1.5. Like they know things. So to pick the underdog in a game like this, you kind of Vegas knows, but I think Saban is just going to have his guys pumped. Like Michigan got their floor wiped with them, like last year against TCU. And then TCU went up against Georgia and couldn't even hardly score a touchdown. I think Michigan had a better team last year than they do this year.
Yeah, I think they had a better team last year, and I'll tell you something else. I watched TCU play several times last year, and I liked them. I didn't even think that they were really a top 10 team. I knew they were undefeated and the story was great, but I kept on saying if this was a team that played in the SEC, this would be an 8-9 win team. I didn't.
Oh, no doubt.
They had some really good players. They had some really good players. Don't get me wrong, but I didn't see a top 10 team. My favorite corner is Cooper DeJohn. He's the dude out of Iowa, so don't let Keys hear that. He will. We don't need to get Keys overly excited, but Cooper DeJohn, yeah, he's
Iowa's a factory for corners and linebackers and linemen.
God, that's a team with an factory. An offense. If Hooker doesn't get hurt, he goes in the first. The only reason he fell because no one that needed a quarterback was I agree, Funk. I mean, I honestly, well, let me ask Denver Gator this. Hendon Hooker stays healthy, right? Does he go to Indianapolis instead of Anthony Richardson at 4?
No. He would have went where I'm trying to think who got picked after Richardson. You got Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, Richardson at 4.
That is a good question. I'm drawing a blank.
I'm trying to think. I think he would have been the 4th best quarterback, maybe the 5th best quarterback in the first round.
Right. So a Gator fan says that Anthony Richardson was better than Hendon Hooker. I know you're shocked.
Yeah, by a long shot. I like Hendon Hooker. I really do.
I think it would have been interesting because I had a big man crush on Anthony Richardson. Here's the thing: going into the combine, I think it would have been close, but Anthony Richardson at the combine, just put on a show that I don't think we'll ever see again. I don't
think so either. Not from a quarterback.
No.
His numbers were just ridiculous. And
I'm surprised that a Gator fan likes Richardson over Hooker. I don't get it either. I'm
a big fan of Hooker, even though he's a Tennessee ball. I like players, and Hendon Hooker's. I hope he takes over for the Lions and he rocks out. I root for that guy, but he's nowhere in the same atmosphere as Anthony Richardson.
He
may be more accurate. He may be more accurate, but no.
No bias from a Florida fan. Let me go back to Alabama, Michigan here. So you got Michigan losing in a close one. How would Michigan win this game?
Containing Milroe. Watching out for the deep bombs. Right. That's basically it. They have to play really good on defense to do that. They cannot be one-dimensional and just run the game or run the ball the whole entire game. They have to create explosive plays through play action, bootlegs, to get that defense going east and west instead of north and south on them.
No, I agree completely. It's kind of funny because McCarthy was mentioned in the first round, but I think Alabama's offense is going to be more diversified, and that's I see the same thing. I think Alabama wins because I think Michigan's going to try to run the ball I think Michigan's going to end up being too one-dimensional, and I think Alabama's offense.
I agree 100%
more balanced. And that's what I think is going to – because I think both teams have some really good defenses, but I think Alabama can be more balanced than Michigan, even though Michigan's got the quarterback who's got, quote, unquote, the higher draft grade as of right now. But,
I think Alabama plays more – I think Alabama plays more complementary football than Michigan. I think their defense allows their offense to stay on the field longer and have longer drives and all that because they're getting off the field faster for most games, because of their defense.
The only way Michigan can really win this game is if they just run the ball right down Alabama's throat. And I don't think it's going to be McCarthy throwing the ball. I think it's only if those running backs who are really good and the offensive line just dominates this game. And I just don't see that against a Nick Saban team.
No. I don't either.
He may be more accurate. Well, isn't the quarterback's job first and foremost to be accurate when throwing the ball. Are you talking about Hendon Hooker versus Anthony Richardson or Milroe versus McCarthy? I'll guess. Look,
I'm pretty sure he's still on the AR thing.
Okay, yeah.
I bet he's. Oh, hey, girl.
Oh God, hey, girl. This is my girl Cheryl. She is married, guys. Her husband's really good guy, but she's showing some love here. Here's the thing. I'm gonna level with you, Funk. I think that the Irsay was just head over heels in love with Anthony Richardson. I think that if there was talk, because Carolina tipped their hand early that they were going to go with Bryce Young, and if they didn't, I think there's a possibility, minor, but there's a possibility Colts may have switched and tried to get that number one spot. But
as much as I love Anthony Richardson, I'm a stan, of course. But if in hindsight we could do it over again, I would hope that like CJ Stroud would have went number one, and then maybe Anthony Richardson goes as the second quarterback, instead of at 4. I think if Carolina would have taken CJ Stroud instead of Young, I think they would have been in a better position. And I don't know. I think the Texans with Anthony Richardson would have been pretty nice. But CJ Stroud, with hindsight, I would still pick him over AR just because he is that good.
Well, I mean, CJ Stroud was my quarterback number one, and I don't have a problem with Bryce Young's height. I have a problem with the weight. With Anthony Richardson, I think, to be honest with you, I think him sitting for the year, even though it's with an issue with injury, is going to be a good thing, because here's a 21-year-old kid at Florida, never played on a football field where he wasn't the best athlete. And that's hard to do, especially in the SEC. And Anthony Richardson, every single game he played in, he's the best athlete on the field, period. And you get the NFL, and that's not the same thing. And I think that him sitting for a year at 21, my nose is really itchy. I apologize, guys. I'm not doing cocaine, I promise. But I think him sitting for a year was key. And that's what I think they should have done from the very, very beginning.
Look what he's done with Gardner Minshew.
Oh, yeah. And
just think of what he's going to do with Anthony Richardson next year. Oh, my gosh.
Throughout training camp, and they built this team around Gardner Minshew. I mean, there's a 3-way tie in the AFC South right now. I guarantee you, if they went with Minshew day one, they're in the lead. They win at least one more game. So that's the way I look at it. Hooker and Richardson, don't get it twisted. Richardson's a better overall athlete, but Hooker doesn't lack athleticism, and he has a cannon. Just saying, we don't know. Funk, we agree with you, at least I do, is that
I agree.
And Hooker, and I think that getting him in the 3rd round was maybe one of the best draft picks, maybe the best draft pick out there. I mean, that was just a great draft. I also love the Brian Branch pick. I'll stand by this. The Chargers, even though Quentin Johnston was my number 1 wide receiver in the draft.
Oh my gosh, me too. What the hell happened to that guy?
And the Chargers needed some help on the back end, and they should have took Branch instead Johnston. They really should have. That was a mistake. So, but yeah. And by the way, if Saturday, if you guys lose, and you guys, I'm almost positive. I didn't double check everything, but I'm almost positive you'll be locked into the 3rd seed if you lose. And if that's the case, I would love to see what Hendon Hooker can do. I would love to see it. So Denver Gator says,
bring out the hookers.
Denver Gator says, bet your life savings on Alabama. Alabama is a 1.5 point underdog.
No.
Over-under is 45. Denver Gator also says, take out a second mortgage and bet the over.
Bet the over. That's not a bad call, actually. Like, if these two teams get fired up, that could be a shootout, but I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be a dull game, actually.
We'll speak. Okay, so we got one game's going to be a dog game. Let's look at the other one here. So the later game, and by the way, I kind of feel like they should have flipped this. I think Texas, Washington should have been the first one. Alabama, Michigan should have been the second one, but it is what it is.
Totally, right? Like that should totally be that way, especially because they're playing out in California.
I don't get it. Yeah, I really don't get this. I thought it was a mistake, but no, it's true. So we got Texas versus Washington. Texas is a 4-point favorite. My boy Riley, who I'm going to try to get back on the show soon, put a big bet. Now, he doesn't do college football betting traditionally, and I was dying to ask him, why did you put so much money on Washington to cover 4 points? Well, actually, I'm sorry. You're getting 4 points. My bad. So you're getting 4 points here. He put some money down on it. Now, he's not a college football guy. So Denver Gator, the over-under on this game, 63.5, probably going to be a higher scoring game. But look, man, I'm putting words in your mouth, man. Texas, Washington, what's your take on this one?
I agree with you. I think it's going to be a big scoring game. I like the Pac-12 for a couple of teams, but they're breaking up. But the Pac-12 does not face bigger, stronger, faster, more athletic competition on a regular basis. Texas does, like for the most part, Texas will. But I seriously believe that Texas. I hate saying this because I can't stand Texas fans for the most part, but I really believe that Washington's going to be one-dimensional against the Texans. And even though I think the Texans' secondary is easily exploited. I think if Rome Anoze, what's his name?
I can never get it right. I have such a man crush on this guy. This guy, I've seen at mock drafts where he's in the top 10, in the top 20. And if this guy begins to slide, I urge the Chiefs general manager to trade up for this guy. I think this guy's just going to be a star. I love this kid. Cannot pronounce his name yet. I will get it down before the draft because I will definitely have him in the first round in every single mock draft if possible. So. One Pride says if we lose, we got the 2. And actually that's not true because right now you're in a 3-way tie. The 49ers are 11-4, the Eagles are 11-4. And both those teams hold tiebreakers over Detroit. Now, here's the deal. The Eagles play the Cardinals at home, and they play the Giants on the road. I would be hard-pressed to see Philly losing those games. The 49ers are traveling to Washington. Now, they do play the Rams the last game of the season. It's at home. So you may have a chance, but I'm going to level with you. I really think that when Detroit loses, and I got Detroit losing, no disrespect, the Cowboys are tough at home. You're at 3 right now. With a loss, and both these teams win, you're stuck at 3. And I'm like 90-something% sure, but I don't have that for a fact. Denver Gator, you still there, brother? All right, we're having some technical issues with Denver Gator, so. One Pride 40 says, bring in. Oh my God, it's my boy Chad yelling, yes, I am finally here. Chad, welcome, brother. I will say Dallas says they do. They really do. Oh, okay. If you win, okay. So here's the drill. If you win, you still need either Philly or San Francisco to lose. So if all 3 teams win, you're still stuck at 3. But yeah, Dallas does have some issues. Here's the deal, though. Dallas is just completely different at home than when they are away. But if you win, you're still stuck at 3 if both these other teams win. So hopefully Denver Gator comes back here.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, okay, now we can hear you. All right, so
somehow my microphone just like slid out of my phone. Like I don't even know what happened. I hear you. I don't know what happened.
Okay, so you were talking about Texas and Washington. The last thing we remember is you talking about Rome, something or other. I'm going to get his name right before the draft, and I went on a Rome Ozike rant because I have such a man crush on this guy. I love this.
Yeah, what I was saying was I think if you compared Harrison Jr.'s this year's stats to Rome's stats this year, they're almost identical. Like,
yeah, the stats are almost alike. Yeah,
and everybody's talking about like Harrison Jr. being the number 2 overall pick or whatever. You know, Rome, whoever gets Rome is going to be doing pretty good in the wide receiver room. That dude is insane good. Like, and I think he's going to, if Washington wins, he's going to have a 200-yard game type style, like 2 touchdowns, 180 yards, you know, and he's probably only going to catch it like 5 times. Like, that dude's a burner. Like, I'm a big fan of that dude, Rome. But Texas's front 7 is really good. I don't know how Washington's O-line will stand up to the Texas D-line on that. And then vice versa. I don't know how tough Washington's defensive line is up against Washington's O-line against their defensive line and vice versa. So I've been picking Texas versus Alabama for the championship as soon as it got announced. But Michael Penix Jr. being healthy, they had some time off to recoup. This is probably going to be the game of the weekend right here. Like, I actually think Texas might pull it off. I think it's going to be like 31-27 type deal.
31-27. Yeah, I think this game's going to be a shootout. And don't sleep on Xavier Worthy. No. Listen, I don't have a problem with Worthy at all, but I roam the only way. Okay, let me ask you this, Denver Gator. How does Washington win this game? And I think you already gave the answer, but like the Washington wins, right? Work backwards here. What does Washington do to beat Texas?
Stop the big plays from Quinn Ewers, the exciting big bombs, you know, or whatever. But I think if they're going to win, they have to really just dice up the secondary for Texas because they got another wide receiver that's like really good too. I can't remember his name, but they have 2 wide receivers that are just awesome. They're not going to run the ball, like, so they're going to be one-dimensional. So in order to beat Texas, they're just going to have to air it out and let those 2 guys just play football. I don't know how Washington wins. They did beat the Oregon Ducks twice, though. And I thought at one point in time, the Oregon was probably one of the best teams in the country, and they beat them twice. So don't count out Washington. Like, Washington might be a scary, like, type of underdog story that comes in, Cinderella story, and comes in and actually dominates everybody. Like, I'm looking forward to this game. This game is the most exciting one for me to watch this weekend coming up.
I'll tell you this. Like, I agree completely. The only way Washington wins this game is, I think, Rome, ZK, even though it's probably wrong, he has to have a big game, but Penix has to outplay Ewers by a huge
exactly.
And Ewers is he took his name out of the NFL draft, and there was a lot of mock drafts where before he took his name out that he was going to go number 1. Arch Manning won the backup job, which is going to be interesting.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a sec.
I mean, that's kind of interesting. They made a big story about him being the backup, and I'm, if I'm Quinn Ewers, am I like really? I was really surprised he wanted to come back to Texas because he's got to beat Manning out I mean, it doesn't matter. Let's say he wins and he wins a national championship. He's still not guaranteed that starting job.
He doesn't have the right last name to take the starting job.
You know, I'm really.
If he had the last name of Manning, yeah, he's a superstar. He's not going to be the starter
coming back. I'm really surprised. Hey, girl, thank you so much for showing some love and support. She's got her daughters and she's having a good time. So yeah.
Hey, girl. Good night.
Yeah. But yeah, I have a hard time believing that when I saw this story, I was really floored because I've seen multiple mock drafts where he's a first round pick. And if they beat Washington, that draft stock's going to keep going up, but your last name's not Manning. I'm really floored by this.
I agree 100%. Like, he stunted his growth by staying.
Yeah, I think he has. I really think he has.
Where do you think Spencer Rattler's going to go?
I'm going to level with you. I think he might go undrafted. I think he might go undrafted. The size, the arm strength. I don't see any arm strength at all. There was some talk about him going in the first round when he was at Oklahoma. There's some good things about the kid. I want to be very clear. But every time I watched the guy throw, I didn't see anything remotely close. So, by the way, if you're curious when I say NFL arm, the number one thing NFL scouts look at is the deep out, that 15-yard out. And it doesn't sound like much, but basically it's a triangle, and the ball will travel, depending on which side of the hash mark you're on, about 50 yards in the air. And so here's the drill. It may not sound like much, but NFL defensive backs run on the average a 4.4 40-yard dash, which means that if the ball goes any sort of an arc, and if you get any kind of an arc on a ball on a 15-yard out, it's going to be picked in the NFL. In college, it's a lot different. But in the NFL, you get an arc, and every throw he throws, there's just too much of an arc. And I don't think that translates. If I'm Spencer Rattler, I try to go undrafted and
then pick your own team.
Yeah. And because he's a guy, I think that he's a smart kid, and he's got I call it he's a natural passer, right? But he's got a weak arm. But you put him on a team like we talked about Denver. You put him on a team like Denver with Sean Payton, that would be perfect for a guy like Spencer Rattler. And that's what I would do. Maybe a team like Kansas City where he could just be a backup for several years. If I'm Spencer Rattler, I don't go to a team and try to be a starter. I go and try to be a backup, have a 15-year career holding the clipboard, and make
a ton of money, just not doing anything.
Yeah, it's a good thing. One Pride 40 says, I believe Dallas is due for a loss at home.
I hope so.
Here's the deal. I would agree with you if they would have beat Buffalo, but after getting embarrassed by Buffalo, I think Dallas is going to be really, really fired up for this game. Here's the thing. I think Detroit's going to be I don't see Detroit really getting up for this game. You just won the North for the first time ever, right? How are you going to get up for a game at Dallas when Dallas is fighting? I mean, Dallas does have a playoff spot, but Dallas is fighting for the division. And Lions fans know. They looked at the 49ers schedule. They looked at the Eagles schedule. They know that they're not going to lose any of those games. They know the Detroit Lions know that they're stuck at 3. All right? Dallas can still get the 1. So I think Dallas is going to be more motivated. They're just different at home. I don't see Detroit really getting up for this game. I just don't see it. I think I said this last week and Funk bristled at it, but when Detroit went to Baltimore and Baltimore just punched them in the mouth and they folded, it could be a game like that. It really could. One Pride is bringing up the Chiefs. Why do you have to do this? One Pride. Nobody everybody's Christmas was ruined. Denver Gator, he said he called me after the Chiefs lost and said, my Christmas is ruined. Bah humbug. This is worse than getting coal. So.
Yeah, that was the conversation we had, right?
Everybody's Christmas was ruined when the Chiefs lost, but luckily the Chiefs will win the AFC West on Sunday. By the way, we'll be doing live play-by-play New Year's Eve for when the Chiefs play the Bengals. All right, so Denver Gator, so you have you got Texas, you got Alabama,
got Georgia,
and you let's do this here. Hypothetically, if Alabama plays Texas in a rematch of Week 3 in college football, does Texas get the win?
No. I think Saban will have that team so frothing at the mouth, like rabid dog style, like to go after Texas for that company. I feel bad for Texas if Alabama wins and they win. Alabama's going to take it to them.
I think the same thing. And by the way, I agree with you. I think it's Alabama and Texas, but I'll go one step further. I think whoever wins between Alabama and Michigan will win the whole thing. So
I can get on board with that. I think that's pretty accurate. I can get on board with that.
And I still think that even though Chicago's been playing better, I think Harbaugh's working something out that he'll take over as the head coach of Chicago. I still think Harbaugh is going to be the head coach of Chicago Bears. I will be live on Black Monday. I'm going to do a special Black Monday show. We'll go over all the head coaching hirings, and we'll go over the firings that will happen on Black Monday. Denver Gator, what's a college football game that you're looking at that you want to talk about here? What's a gem that we could be watching?
Oh, the gem is definitely going to be. You're talking about other than what I talked about,
yeah,
or
yeah. What other than what you've talked about? Give us a gem here.
Was it LSU versus Wisconsin? I'm trying to think of.
What's a game that you're excited about?
Me personally, I'm excited about the Georgia FSU game because I want to see FSU just get wiped. But I'm trying to think of who's playing LSU. LSU is
it's Wisconsin LSU.
Wisconsin, yeah. I think that's going to be a good game. I really do. Jalen Daniels isn't playing. Is that right? His name?
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, he's not playing, but they got a good backup.
I'm like 98%. By the way, LSU is a 10-point favorite in that game.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a good game, though. I think that's a little bit high of a spread because LSU's defense is pretty mid. But that's the game that's not like a, New Year's Day game or New Year's Day weekend or whatever game that I would actually probably watch is LSU versus Wisconsin. Missouri, Mizzou playing
That's as soon
Ohio
as the
State
show ends, I got it on DVR. As soon as the show ends tonight, I'm tuning into Ohio State and MU, Missouri, and the reason why is I can't stand.
I haven't even looked at it. Like I haven't looked at it. I know it's going on right now, and it's driving me crazy. But I want to watch that game too.
Yeah, I got it on DVR. So after the show's over, I'm gonna
I think that's going to be my favorite game of the week. I think those teams are almost equally matched. I think that's going to be a really close game.
Harrison's not playing, and before the show started, and I should have wrote it down, but before the show started, Ohio State was only a 4-point favorite, and I think that Harrison being out affected the line a little too much. I think Ohio State's going to win. Here's the thing, and by the way, like my nephew goes to Missouri, and it drives me nuts because he's like 6'1".
MIC.
Nothing to do with football. It drives me nuts.
COU.
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. I want Missouri to lose by like 50. The
quarterback. What's his name from Kyle McCord, quarterback for Ohio State, went to Syracuse in the portal.
Really?
Yeah.
Maybe
How weird is that? Like going to
that
Syracuse.
Because I know that the line. I think the line went from 6 to 4 when Harrison left. But I actually remember that briefly. But here's the deal. I watched Ohio State. The quarterback didn't impress me. I mean, I really thought that. I knew they weren't going to have. They didn't have another C.J. Stroud. But I watched the quarterback and I was like, this guy. Now their running back Trayvon Henderson. Oh my God, that Denver Gator. I agree with you that Henderson will look great in a Chiefs uniform.
I'm glad that we agree. That dude's badass. Like, regardless what team he's going to be on, like that dude is legit. But I couldn't agree less about the Chiefs thing. Like, no,
actually, that game I'm really excited about. Me and Denver Gator. As soon as the show's over, we're gonna go check that out. Funk says Dallas undefeated at home, Detroit undefeated on prime time. Something's going to give. Oh, and Dallas is honoring Jimmy, one of Dan's idols. I don't know that he's one of my idols, but I will say this: out of Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones, Jimmy Johnson is much more responsible for that dynasty than Jerry Jones. But
agreed.
Yeah, I mean,
Jerry Jones just wrote the checks.
Yeah. Me, Jimmy Johnson. But I wouldn't call him one of my idols, but definitely more responsible. And by the way, good job by they should have done this a long time ago. So
I'm pulling for Detroit. I've always been pulling for Detroit. Like the Buccaneers, I grew up as a Buccaneers fan because I lived in that area for a long time. And that was back in the creamsicle orange days. And then I was living down there when they went to the Pewter and went to the Super Bowl and all that. And when the Buccaneers were in the NFC, Central?
Yeah.
They played the Lions. They played the NFC North, basically.
That was so much fun. You had Barry Sanders, Brett Favre,
I grew up watching Barry Sanders and Favre and all those guys. And so
Dan Campbell's idols. Okay. One of Dan Campbell's. Okay, I'm sorry.
Not you, Dan. I just read that.
I'm sorry, yeah. Lions offense is the Cowboys' worst enemy. You know what? I actually don't agree with that because the Cowboys have a lot of speed, and I think they actually match up. The one thing I will say is that even though Brand is getting a lot of hype, and kudos for the 5 or 6 pick sixes. He's not one of the best corners in football.
I hope he gets another one of those, just not tomorrow, or just not when they play the Lions. But I hope he gets another pick 6. I really do.
Oh, I love it. But I mean, like, is this a guy that I think PFF called him the number 1 corner in football? It's like, no, he's not that guy. But I mean, kudos to the pick sixes. But I mean, Gilmore's banged up. There's holes in the secondary. But here's the thing: the Cowboys' defense is fast. And I think the Cowboys defense actually matches up pretty well. They are susceptible against the run, but I mean, you tell me one, Pride, is Detroit just going to try to run the ball right down Dallas's throat? I think
Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to have a great game. Rah 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 rah.
About the Baltimore game is a totally different thing this time. No wind to push Goff ducks around, and O-line wasn't healthy, so Goff had hoppy. I didn't know about the offensive line. I don't think the weather really was that big of a factor. I think I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Baltimore just beat them up, and they just kind of folded. And I wonder if Dallas gets up early, are we going to see the same fold? That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Baltimore's legitimately a really good team. Like, they are beating some really good teams. So if you lost to Baltimore, it's not that bad of a, mark on your resume type deal. Like, legitimately, the Ravens are doing really well this season.
Ravens right now are the best team in football. So saying you lost the Ravens, no slam, no slam at all. I'm not dogging the Lions. I know it sounds like I am. I'm not. I mean, it's just that they lost that game in like the first couple minutes, and if they get hit early, and the Cowboys put up like 14 points at home, which, by the way, they've done. They're averaging like 41 points at home. If they put up 14 in the first quarter, is Detroit going to fold? And here's the thing. Detroit locked up the North for the first time in a long time. Are they going to be able to? It's a lot different when you win that division because you haven't gone through it before. How are they going to respond? So that's kind of what I'm saying. Like I feel like I'm the bad guy here, but you are right. The Lions should be able to run against the Cowboys, but if the Cowboys win the turnover battle, it could get ugly. So, is there another?
I hope Laporta scores like 3 touchdowns.
Oh God, I love.
I'm a big Laporta fan. Like that dude is what a tight end should be. Like
so, Denver Gator has said this so many times that Laporta should have been a Chief and would look way better in a Chiefs red than the Hunter.
Golly, him and Kelsey together.
Oh God,
I'm getting sick to my stomach again. Jeez. Yeah, Laporta's special. I like that dude a lot, man. The Lions picked up a gem with that dude. That dude is a man's man. Like, he is going to run over you, run through you. He's got soft hands. Yeah, I like Laporta a lot.
It wouldn't surprise me if going forward, Laporta is the best tight end in football. And I mean, I love Kelsey, and I still think Kelsey this year is the best tight end, but Kelsey is going to be 35 at the start of the season next year. I wouldn't also be surprised if Kelsey hung it up after this year. It really wouldn't surprise me. And Chiefs fans argue this, but look, dude, you're listen, 10 years in the NFL is a long time. It's a long time.
Especially as a tight end.
Yeah,
like taking contact the way that those guys do.
This regime is in year 3. Anything before it doesn't matter. Okay, so it kind of does because you're in uncharted territory. That's why it matters. After you win the division going into next year, no, it doesn't. This year it does because you got a bunch of guys doing something you've never done before. These guys have no playoff experience. And by the way, look, go back to Dallas. Like when Dallas went 1-15, and 2 years later they went to the playoffs. What happened? They went up to Detroit and lost. I think the score is 38-6. Then they go into next year and win a Super Bowl. Year after that, win a Super Bowl. So look at the Cowboys blueprint. No, and by the way, like I was going to joke around saying nobody wants to see a Detroit dynasty, but why not have a Detroit dynasty? After this year, it matters. This right here, because you have a new regime, it does matter.
It's also going to determine strength of schedule for next year. They're going to be playing top teams again next year.
It's going to be a lot different next year. Laporta needs 2 big games. I have no idea what his yardage is, but I would love to see him get 1,000. He would be only the 3rd tight end in NFL history to get over 1,000 yards receiving as a rookie. One is Ditka, and I have no idea who the other one is. Yeah, I was trying to get Denver Gator to respond. Apparently, he doesn't.
I was trying to think of. I know it was Ditka.
It was your boy. It was your boy.
No fan.
He went to some school down south. I don't know what school it was.
Hernandez?
Kyle Pitts.
Oh, did he break? No, he didn't break 1,000 in his rookie year. He barely broke 200.
No, he broke 1,000 2 years ago.
In his rookie year.
2 years ago, his rookie season, he broke 1,000, and then he got injured last year and got 200.
Oh,
it was really
yeah.
weird.
I didn't.
Because you're 6'6", you're 240, you run a 4.4, you have over 1,000 yards receiving, but you have 1 touchdown. It is weird.
That's a disgrace. They got London too. How are the Falcons just not like totally owning the South? Like with Pitts, London, Algier, Bijan.
It's to do with quarterback, and I'm kind of curious what's going to happen with the quarterback position because do you draft somebody? Do you bring in a veteran? I think Arthur Smith's going to be on his way out, but we'll find out about Black. I mean, look at the talent there. Funk says Laporta blocks pretty well. It's a run game, the Laporta and Sun God type of game. I hope so, man. Listen, I think it's game of the week. I did pick the Cowboys, but I do think it's game of the week. I really want to see a good game. No, Dan, it doesn't. The previous stuff does not apply. You can say this is all new, but the old stuff means nothing, and the schedule is 3 games against first-place teams. We'll have to agree to disagree, Funk. I just think that because you don't have any experience going into a game, it does have a factor. Next year, I don't think it will, but this year, I think it does. And Laporta is a rare tight end. Nobody disagrees there. Then it's the AFC South and NFC West. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. The AFC South is going to be interesting. The NFC West is going to be tough.
Denver, you think the Rams get in? Somebody mentioned NFC West.
I do. I think the Rams are going to get in. I just don't, because I think Seattle could lose. And in that last spot. So what happens is Minnesota and Green Bay play Sunday night, and the winner of that game and Seattle could fight for a spot, because Seattle could lose one of those games. It's going to be interesting, but I think the Rams are going to get in. I think that final spot is completely up for grabs. Is completely up for grabs. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But, yeah, I think the Rams are in. And the way it's going to work is that it's going to be Rams and Lions in the wild card round. And that's just going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, imagine that. Stafford going up against the Lions in a playoff game.
Off going against the Rams, the team that didn't want them. I mean, it's going. I 100%.
Oh yeah, Goff too. Yeah, Goff from the Rams. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. You still have the same old Lions mentality when you look at the Lions, realizing everyone involved with the Lions, including the owner. No more William Clay Ford. No, I don't, Funk. I'm just saying, and I don't think there's anything I can do to convince you, but you just won the North for the first time ever, right? How do you respond after winning the division when you've never done it before? I think it's natural to have a letdown. That's what I'm saying. And putting yourself in a position that you've never been in before, I think experience matters in playoff type of games. And that's what you have. And that's what you have here is a playoff type of game. And you're going to have a playoff type environment. And I think that never being there before is a factor. I really do. I think next year, because you have that experience, it's going to be a positive. But no, I don't have that same old Lions mentality. I really don't. But I'm telling you that you're doing something you've never done before, and I think that's a factor. Just like a rookie quarterback starting a game is a factor because he's never done it before. Could C.J. Stroud, who I got as winning rookie of the year, can he be a good quarterback? Sure, he can, but I'd rather have a more experienced guy. I don't have that same old Lions mentality. I really don't. But apparently I'm the bad guy here. I'm the bad guy on the show today.
Well, to add on to that, like, when was the last time Detroit Lions ever had a target on their backs? Now every team that goes against them, they're going to try to spoil their rankings. They actually have a target on their back, especially when they make it to the playoffs, because that's when things get down to the nitty gritty. Our team's going to think that that's their Super Bowl, like for the next couple games, like, I don't know. I'm rooting for the Lions. I don't know how far they can go in the playoffs. So, like, I think they might win the wild card and probably get knocked out in the next round. Like, I don't know if they can compete with San Fran, Philly. I think they can beat Green Bay again.
I really think that San Francisco and Philly are the top tier in the NFC, and I would almost include Dallas there too. I think Dallas. I think Detroit's on a different tier, but I mean that's the game in the playoffs, Detroit and Rams, and I think we're going to see it. Funk says you keep applying the old franchise to current Lions, though. Like I said, you can say this is new to the team, but bringing up stuff from the previous 20 years and the mentality is the same old Lions mentality. I mean, I get what you're saying, Funk, but bottom line, they've never done it before. So, like, going against the Rams, what I think is going to happen. The Rams have experience, and that's a plus. The Lions don't. I'm not saying that the Lions are going to lose that game, but you know, I don't know if I can word that any better. Denver Gator, college football here. What other games you have circled as like games that, you know, players, teams, coaches, you know, give us kind of a preview on what you're looking at here, because we got some really good games here.
I don't have them in my notes. Let's see. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I didn't know if I opened up the wrong window.
Okay. No, let me know. Was there any players that you're looking at? Anything special that you're doing here for college for this? I mean, there's some really good games I'm looking at. I'm kind of excited to watch.
Yeah, the LSU Wisconsin stands out to me. Ole Miss. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Ole Miss and
I was kind of hoping you would bring that one up.
Penn State.
That's the one that
Penn
really
State. That's the one. Yeah. Ole Miss and Penn State is the one I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean,
I forgot all about that. Like, I can't believe I forgot that.
Yeah, I got a really good defense in Penn State. There's a lot of excitement about Ole Miss. I don't know if you've seen it, but Ole Miss landed several players in the transfer portal.
They're crushing the portal.
Penn State's a 4.5-point favorite. I do have an SEC bias. I was a little surprised to see Penn State favored in this game. Hey, are you still there, Denver Gator? All right, we lost. Because I'm going to speak for Denver Gator here. Ole Miss, I was really surprised about this because I understand that they got some players that are sitting out for the NFL draft. I don't know all the players. I didn't have it. Hey, Denver Gator, are you back there?
Right. Can you hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. Okay. Ole Miss and Penn State, I wanted to talk about. This was the one I was really hoping you had some notes on. Penn State's a 4.5-point favorite. Can you talk about this game?
I don't know how Penn State is a favorite by especially 4.5. Their defense is elite. Like, there's no getting around that. But their offense, like, they're not a passing team, and when they do pass, it's very mediocre. Like, and they can run the ball.
It's almost hard to watch. I watched Penn State play.
It is. It really is hard to watch. It's like watching Iowa plus, like Iowa extra. Like, their games are boring.
It really is. It really is.
And I don't know how they're a 4.5-point favorite. Like, that, to me, but Ole Miss, are they gonna come in there and light it up? Is Lane Kiffin gonna get these guys up for this kind of game, or is he just gonna be blasé and get on social media and talk some dumb shit like he always does?
They landed several players in the transfer portal. Out of all the teams, I don't think that Ole Miss is being hyped up enough, because I think Ole Miss might be a team that could contend for a national championship next year. Of course, Alabama and Georgia. But
Ole Miss will be in the playoffs next year, no doubt.
You heard it here first. Ole Miss is making the college football playoffs next year. Denver Gator says bet your house on it.
Well, yeah, there's going to be 12 teams. Yeah, 4 from the SEC, 4 from the Big Ten, and 4 from the other schools.
I could easily see that. But yeah, I agree completely. I think Ole Miss might actually be a top 5 team next year. I think that they're rooted. I think I always thought Lane Kiffin was going to use Ole Miss as a springboard to a different school.
I thought he was going to go to Auburn.
I thought season. There was talk about that. I don't know if you saw it. Like Ole Miss gave him a boatload of money and a boatload of incentives. Like it's something crazy. If he's ranked in the top 15, he gets like an extra like $1.5 million, and then if he's ranked in the top 10, it's like an extra $2 million. It's just crazy They got a ton of players. They upgraded the facilities. Ole Miss is a team I'm really high on. And
good. Another team that you should watch out for this coming year is Auburn.
Okay.
Let Hugh Freeze get his recruiting class that he wants. Get on the recruiting trail, get his system, get his quarterback. Auburn's going to be a team to watch for next year.
That's actually a fun game because Auburn's a 6.5 point favorite against Maryland, and I'm actually excited.
I don't think Tua's brother's playing.
He's not?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what? I was looking forward to watching Tua. I didn't know his brother was sitting out. That's kind of interesting.
I might be off on that. I might be off on that, but I could have sworn I saw him not playing.
I haven't looked it up. Phone says I can't see 4 Big Ten teams. Seriously, it might be. I don't know if you got a chance to see the Holiday Bowl, but I watched it. Milton Moss, the USC backup quarterback, set a USC record 6 passing touchdowns. I'm going to let you know this right now. Milton Moss might win the Heisman next year, and I know nobody's heard of him. He threw for 6 touchdowns. All I kept on hearing was that this guy is really, really good. Now he's Caleb Williams' backup. But you saw, Louisville's not a bad team. It's not a bad team. Milton Moss, the USC quarterback, is going to put up monster numbers next year, and he's going to run up the score against some of those Big Ten teams. And don't be surprised he wins the Heisman.
Well, Louisville just played in the ACC championship game. They're not shabby at all. They're actually a pretty good team. USC put it on them.
Louisville's not a bad team at all, and I thought Louisville was going to beat USC because they had several players sitting out. Jerry Rice's kid didn't play. One of the starting, I think, the starting right tackle for USC didn't play. I think there's one other guy, but Milton Moss went out there, just lit up a pretty good Louisville team. For six, it really, really lit them up bad.
How do you think USC is going to fare in the Big Ten with those defenses?
I seriously think USC is. I think they're going to win at least 10. I don't think they're on par with. I don't know what's going to happen with Michigan. I think football is going to leave, and players are going to leave. I think Ohio State's still going to be loaded. Penn State's going to try to get there, but that offense is just terrible. It wouldn't surprise me if Michigan loses Harbaugh, if USC is the second best team in that division behind Ohio State, and I think Ohio State is just they have to get the quarterback situation ironed out, but Ohio State I think will win that division next year if Harbaugh leaves. If Harbaugh stays, it'll be Michigan, Ohio State, and then USC and Penn State will fight for the third spot. And
Wisconsin, don't count out Wisconsin for the Big Ten either next year.
I want to, but I don't know. I don't know that running back, and I'm drawing a blank on his name. He left for the draft, and I have a major man crush on him. I want to see what he does at the combine. Because I think he's going to drop some weight, try to get down around 230, 235. If he runs anywhere under 4.6, he could surprise and go in the first round.
Is that the same guy that put up couple 200-yard games as a freshman?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't remember his name. He's got a simple name, I think.
Yeah, I know. I know he's playing because there was talk about him playing linebacker, but 4 Big Ten teams. Let me tell you this: if USC is somewhere between 10 and 15 because of name recognition and the West Coast bias, USC will get in. We didn't
Oregon,
talk about, but Oregon could. We didn't talk about Chip Kelly, but he's building something. He's getting some players there in UCLA. I thought
they were talking about firing him 2 months ago, and he goes and beats USC, and all of a sudden they're going to keep him. If I was him, I'd get out of there.
He was going to leave UCLA, but they're building something there. I don't know how good it's going to be though. But USC is going to be there, and I think
Oregon is going to be right up there. Ohio State, Michigan.
Those are probably 4. Now keep
Penn
in mind,
State.
If Harbaugh leaves Michigan, who knows? Penn State has to figure out some things on offense, but the defense is first rate. The first-rate defense. Denver Gator here. I do want to talk a little bit. I've had you here for 2 hours. I don't want to hold you up here, but I do want.
You're not holding me up. Let's talk some NFL.
I want to talk some NFL here. We talked to AFC earlier.
Let's go.
Let's talk some NFL here. I'm going to throw some big games at you here. Let's start with a good one. Let's start with a game I know you're excited about. Kansas City and Cincinnati. Kansas City wins. They clinch the West. Tell everybody here that don't worry about what's been going on. They're going to fix everything. Assure the rest of Chiefs Kingdom that we're going to be fine.
I hate to say it, but you're absolutely right. Like, this is a get-right game for the Chiefs. Browning, yeah, he was an amazing story. Come out there just killing it, but he got exposed last week. Like, Cincinnati's not the same without Burrow. And is Chase going to be playing?
Yeah. Yes, he is. He is going to play. Not 100%. He's been talking a lot of trash on social media. I follow more Chiefs social media than most people, but he's been talking a lot of trash.
Yeah,
I
that's
have no
stupid.
problem with it, by the way. I have zero problem with Jamar Chase talking trash. None. But Chiefs Kingdom, it's a different story.
Yeah, I get it, but I think the Chiefs defense is good enough to shut them down, and I think the Chiefs are going to work out their kinks. Either that or everybody's going to lose their heads, off with their heads type mentality, like Tony and MVS and all those guys, catch the ball, play proper football, catch the ball. And you guys would be like 12 wins right now if you guys just caught the fucking ball.
I agree. Tony's out, but believe it or not, L'Jarius Sneed's banged up, but I think he's going to play. Pacheco,
what's the other guy you have? Rice, or is that his name?
Which one?
Rice.
He's fine. He had L'Jarius Sneed on the injury report. He's fine. Pacheco, who suffered a concussion against the Raiders, he's past protocol. He's back at practice. Believe it or not, the Chiefs, even though Tony's out, the Chiefs are really getting completely back healthy. Nick Bolton missed 6 games. They've been kind of rotating him in and out of the lineup. And
Bolton's a badass.
Yeah,
I wanted him on the Broncos so bad.
Oh God, he's a guy that they've been kind of. I think they're getting him ready for the playoffs, and I think he's going to have a big game against the Bengals. I really think that this is the game we kind of get right. Yeah, and then
this is a get right game for the Chiefs. They're probably going to win by 8+. What's the point spread?
It's
5.
Let me see here. I think I just got off of there. It's now up to 6.5. It's been going up, but it's at 6.5 right now.
That means a lot of people are putting money on the Chiefs, then, right?
Yeah.
To cover that? Yeah, I think that's a good cover.
I would be shocked here.
I'm pretty sure they're going to beat them by 8 points plus.
All right, Denver Gator said it bet heavy on the Chiefs, and hopefully the rest of you guys will join my live stream on New Year's Eve before you go. Here's the deal: the game's at 3. Let me see. I actually thought so. The game's I'm going to start the live stream at 3:25. So after the live stream's over, it'll be 6:30 or 7. Go to your New Year's Eve party after the show. Wait, are you really going to start partying on New Year's at 7? Are you really going to start?
I'm starting now. What are you talking about?
Denver Gator. So during the live stream, Denver Gator's going to be lit up in the chat.
Yeah, I started on Christmas Eve. I don't know about the rest of you guys.
All right, so a couple games. We kind of talked about this earlier, but which team is more likely to win? Washington, who is at home hosting San Francisco, they're a 13.5-point home dog. Or Arizona, who travels to Philly, is a 12-point home dog. Which team has the better chance of winning, Washington or Arizona?
Washington. Arizona's not going to go to Philly and beat them up. No, Washington would have the best chance, but golly, that's a dumpster fire right now. Who are they starting at quarterback now? Is it Tyrod Taylor?
Brissett's going to get the start.
Brissett. I always get those two guys mixed up. Yeah, Brissett is going to start. Like maybe they'll do all right, but you're still talking about San Fran. Are they coming off a big loss? They're playing at home, right?
No, they're playing in Washington. That's why. Because they're playing. Here's the deal: San Francisco has to travel to the East Coast for an early game, but they're playing Brissett, and does Washington have a chance? The new quarterback insert some life, or do the Eagles? You get Kyler Murray? Can he create some magic? I mean, these are double-digit points. I don't know if Philly will cover the points. I think Arizona's going to lose, but they might cover that. I think Philly might get up to a big start and then keep the Cardinals in the game, where they only win by like a touchdown or something like that, 8 points, and still not cover. Yeah,
I can see that happening.
Agree completely. I wouldn't put action on either one of these, but if I had to, I would put action on Arizona covering 12. I think San Francisco may win by like 20 or 30 against Washington, but I think
I do too. Yeah. I think they're pissed. Yeah.
All right, Denver Gator has popped off here. He's been having some technical issues, and by the way, Chad says, "Damn, he is up late right now and staying lit up." Yeah, so he's on the Eastern time zone, but he's a night owl. It's kind of funny. Like me and Denver Gator used to do videos, and he would we would both be up like 2-3 in the morning, just talking on StreamYard like we are now. So yeah, Denver Gator's a night owl. But yeah, he's staying lit up. He's having a good time here. So yeah, so Denver Gator's having a good time. But yeah, he's having some technical issues. Denver Gator, we could finally see you, Denver Gator. We've never seen you before. Do you want me to change this? Because I know you don't like being seen. All right, and he's going. So Denver Gator doesn't like being seen. And he just doesn't. Some people come on the show and like I had One Pride, and I was like, "You want me to call you by your name or One Pride?" He goes, "I don't want anybody to know my name. It's One Pride." And I was like, "All right, so, Chad, you got your name." So anyway, we're gonna try this again. Denver Gator, we've never
All
seen.
Right, face reveal. See my big ugly mug.
Okay? I've never seen. I've only seen your face once. Are you okay with that? I don't want to.
I'm good.
All right. If you don't want to be seen, we can. I don't know. I have to play with the settings, but I can.
I'll turn it off. But I just wanted to do the face reveal.
Oh, okay.
So you guys can not sleep for the next 3 days.
Live Denver Gator for the first time ever. That's pretty awesome. I last time I've seen you, you didn't have the beard.
Yeah, it gets to that point where I'm just like, you know what? It's winter time. Like, I just don't feel like shaving. But yeah, last time you saw me, I had just a goatee, right?
No, you were clean shaven last time I saw you. Yeah, you normally, yeah. And I didn't want to do that because like One Pride wants to stay hidden and he doesn't want his name or anything. And I was like, okay. So like some people don't.
I have to give a thumbs up for Chad's little line there. Like,
yeah. Chad, it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny because like Chad, I know this. It's kind of funny if I ever wake up at like 6 or 7 in the morning, I can call Chad because he wakes up at 5:30 in the morning. Chad's a morning guy, and you're a late guy. So it's kind of cool. Like it's kind of funny because I pay attention. Like I pay attention to people's schedules because I keep a weird one myself. So it's kind of neat, to have like I got some friends are up early in the morning, got some friends are up late at night. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. One Pride says, I don't see us getting drubbed. And I listen, One Pride, that's my game of the week. It's my game of the week is Dallas, Detroit. And I hope you don't get drubbed. I really hope that you don't. But I do look at that game against Baltimore and I wonder could I see the same type of thing? And there is some hesitation. But Saturday, I'll be honest, I just want to see a good game. I think it's game of the week. I think it's going to be a great game. I predict it's a high scoring game. But I do like Dallas to win, but I think it's a high scoring game. Since Denver Gators still having some technical issues, I want to touch base on just a few games, and I'm going to go ahead and end the stream here. Jacksonville is still a 4-point favorite, even though it was announced that Beathard's going to get the start. So with Beathard getting the start, I still think that Jacksonville is going to get the win.
All right, sorry about that. My phone is dying.
Okay.
It's pretty much like giving me the middle finger.
Okay, well, listen, we'll wrap everything up here, but I just I want to touch base on a few games before, if you can.
Oh, let's go. Yeah.
All right. One game that's kind of interesting. One game I find interesting because it does have some playoff implications. Is Atlanta at Chicago? Chicago's a 2.5-point favorite. It's close to your neck of the woods, relatively speaking here. Atlanta, with a loss, would be eliminated from playoff contention. With a win, they're still in. You mentioned earlier, with all that talent, they're going to stick with Heineke, but who knows what they'll do next week. I mean, there's no clue. They've been playing musical quarterbacks here. Break down this game for me.
I think playing Heineke gives them a better chance for more explosive plays. He's basically a knockoff version of Brett Favre. He's just going to gun it, live by the gunslinger style, die by the gunslinger style. And I don't know what to think of Chicago. Like, every time I try to pick Chicago, like to win or lose, I'm absolutely wrong. Like, I have no idea how to gauge the Chicago Bears. But they have been stepping it up lately. They seem like they're getting in touch with like the system, and signing on Sweat, trading for him. Like, he's already got how many sacks? He's already got like 5 sacks or something like that, right?
Yeah. Sweat. I kind of blasted the Bears when they made this move because I didn't think that they would be able to sign him. Then they signed him, and he's just bent like a hand in a glove. That defense is playing really good football right now.
They are. They really are, man. Like, I don't know what happened to Chicago, but all of a sudden they've got their heads out of their asses and they're playing good football.
I mean, they made that trade for Sweat. The defense is just elevated to a different level. I'm not sold on Justin Fields. And if you have the first overall pick in the draft, that's the number one thing you have to figure out, because if you do have Fields, there's going to be a team that's going to want to trade. And I'm going to stick on this. Because we both think Washington's going to lose this game. Right now, the way it works is that Chicago will have the first pick in the draft. Washington will have the third pick in the draft. I don't see any possibility that Washington doesn't trade up the 1 and draft Caleb Williams. I can.
Yeah, smart move.
Is
Eberflus got to be the coach next year?
Yeah, I don't know. I still think it's Harbaugh. I still think it's going to be Harbaugh. I really do. I really think it's going to be Harbaugh. I think Harbaugh is going to be the guy. I think he's going to end up being head coach in Chicago, and I think he'll be more than happy to give Justin Fields the benefit of the doubt. That's kind of the way I think it's going to work out. But if you stick with Eberflus, the number one question is Justin Fields your guy? If he's not, draft your guy. But I think that they'll stick with Fields, but I don't know. I mean, but I really do. Here's another thing. You got the third pick in the draft. Why not take Moy or Penix or Bo Nix? I think that what's going to happen is Washington's going to trade up the 1 and take Williams. I think that's the world we live in.
That's not a bad deal. You got to figure out who the coach is going to be, though. Like, is he going to elevate Caleb Williams, or is he going to be a defensive-minded coach that has some new offensive coordinator trying to run the show for him? Like, well, I mean, if Eberflus wins the next 2 games, does that keep his job? Or if he goes 1-1, Does that keep his job, or
That's a great question. I don't know. I've been impressed with the way Chicago's playing. I kind of thought Eberflus would be on his way out, but I mean the defense has really stepped up. What do you think about
they could
Fields?
take?
If you're not sold on Fields, you got the number one pick in the draft. I mean, you got somebody right there. And let's see the way things are right now, Chicago would pick first and eighth.
So if Fields is not your guy and you get a quarterback for Chicago, does that buy Eberflus like a get out of jail free card for the whole entire year because you haven't seen the new draft pick perform?
Idea. I mean, I have no idea, and we're going to find out. I'm gonna keep harping until he signs. There's talk about Harbaugh's extension with Michigan. Until he signs an extension, or it's confirmed after Black Monday, Eberflus is staying. I'm going to keep saying Harbaugh's going to end up with the Chicago Bears and be the head coach there. That's what I think is going to happen.
And if they do, let's say, get Harbaugh, do you think he just takes Alt and Harrison Jr.?
You know what I would do if I was Harbaugh. I would keep the number one pick in the draft. I would just say, look, I'm just going to keep it, and I'm going to draft Harrison Jr. Now, I would do that, but here's the drill: you can trade down to 3 and get Alt or Harrison Jr. and that's what I would do. But actually, that's kind of what I think they'll do. But if I'm Chicago at 1, I might just take Harrison Jr. at number 1 and just say, hey, look, I mean, I'm going to pick again at 8. I'm just going to get the very best player I can. But
how epic would that be? A wide receiver going number 1 overall in this age?
That
would be insane.
The wide receiver position has become more and more important in the NFL. And you're not going to see a wide receiver with this type of draft grade ever. This is the highest. Keyshawn Johnson went number 1 overall, and I'd have to look up what year it was. And the knock on Keyshawn Johnson was he's perfect, except he didn't have any deep speed. Harrison has deep speed. He has size. He has deep speed, route running ability. There's nothing wrong with this guy.
That's all genetics.
I mean, I remember Marvin Harrison playing for the Colts, and his son plays like him, except taller and faster. It looks like maybe not faster, but definitely taller. I might just take Harrison 1. It's going to be an interesting story, but we'll have to wait and see. The next game could be game of the week. I think Dallas Detroit's game of the week. Miami at Baltimore. Baltimore's a 3.5-point favorite. If Baltimore wins this game, they lock up home field throughout the playoffs. If Miami wins and they beat Buffalo next week, they lock up the 1 seed in the AFC. Who do you like here?
I think the Ravens are going to pull this one off, not because I think the Ravens are that much better. I just think Vic Fangio has trouble with dynamic running quarterbacks, ones that can just come out of the backfield and just take off. Fangio was the coach of the Broncos for 3 years, and it seemed like that's what was his Achilles heel was these dual threat quarterbacks that could throw for 200 yards and run for 100. I think the defense might be exploited on Miami, and I think the Ravens defense is actually good enough to keep up with Miami. I don't know. I would like to see the Ravens win it just to see Buffalo be able to win that division again. But Miami's no joke either. They're insane good. But I would think that the Ravens would pull this on. What's the spread on that one?
3.5. Baltimore's a 3.5-point favorite at home. Now, I like Baltimore here. I mean, I think this is a good game. I like Detroit, Dallas a little better. But if you told me that Miami, Baltimore's game of the week, I just see Baltimore at home. And let me throw out another follow-up question here. Is Lamar Jackson MVP?
So far, yeah. He really has to mess up the next 2 games not to be, I think.
I think so too. And
I don't predict him messing up terribly in the next 2 games.
I think Lamar. I think by beating San Francisco, that put him at MVP. And I said
think about the confidence level that he has now, beating San Fran's defense.
Yeah, and I just at home, Baltimore's a good team. I like Baltimore as well here. Let me get you to another game closer to your neck.
You like that hook? You think they're going to cover 3.5, or
I think they do?
Do you think it'll be within 3?
I hate the hook. If I'm betting this game, I find the sports book where I can get 3, but I'm gonna level with you. That might be really hard. I think it's much more likely that you're going to see 4 instead of 3.5. But I would not take 3.5. You know, I hate the hook. Denver Gator knows I hate the hook. So, but I would take Baltimore in 3 all day long. I don't want to take 3.5. I hate the hook, but if I'm betting this game, I'm taking Baltimore, and I take them to cover 3.5. This is the game I really want to get your opinion on, because I've been hearing different things from different people. This is the big one. Saints at Bucks. Bucks are a 2.5-point favorite. If the Bucks win this game, they actually lock up the NFC South. How crazy would that be?
I think they're going to do it.
Really?
I think they're totally going to win that division, and I think it's going to be solidified when they play on Sunday.
I like the Saints in that.
I think the Bucks. I think Baker Mayfield's starting to actually just play backyard football. Let him loose. Get Evans and Godwin in the picture. You know, Bucks defense kind of sucks, but the Saints offense is nothing to really care about. Like, they're good in between the 20s. You put them in the red zone, it's like they don't even know how to play football anymore. Derek Carr, like, he's, I don't know, a broken toe away from retirement, seems he's injured like every other week.
I really thought Derek Carr to the Saints would just work.
I thought it would. I thought it was too. I thought that was the best move of the season, or one of the best moves of the season, and he is just. I think the Saints just don't have an identity. Like, are they good on defense and okay on offense, or are they okay on defense and just not really good on offense? Like, they don't have an identity where you're going into a Saints game going, okay, they're going to dominate this part of the ball.
The one thing I brought this up on my video, which, by the way, the link's below. Make sure you watch it, or your 2024 will suck. The Bucs are the hottest team in the NFC right now. They've won 4 straight. The only problem with the Bucs offensively is they got Baker. He's playing pretty good. Baker Mayfield, according to One Pride, is your comeback player of the year. But I have no problem with Baker Mayfield being comeback player of the year. I would probably vote that, and
I wouldn't mind Baker. Like, I think he would. I think he'd gel real well with the Broncos, like in Denver community.
I think him and Sean Payton would really get along well. I think that would be a good thing. And Baker Mayfield's a free agent. For those of you who don't know, I'll try to keep the rant to a minimum. He got offered a 3-year, I want to quote you, $92 million deal in Cleveland.
And he bet on himself. Yep.
He bet on himself. He got hurt, and then he lost all that money. And if I'm Baker Mayfield, I would take less money and go to a team like Denver for a couple of years, because he'll put up some numbers. I would also consider taking less money. Oh, God. I had it on the tip of my tongue. The running back from Wisconsin, it's Braylon something. All right? That's the only thing the Bucs offense needs, is they need another running back to go along with Rachaad White, who's more of a receiver runner. They need the big guy. Don't be surprised if Tampa wins this division. First round, take the kid out of Wisconsin, and he's a battering ram. Take some pressure off on that offense. Baker on the Broncos does make sense.
I wouldn't mind Baker. Like, I think the community would like him.
I think seriously, if you're going to stick – If I don't know the type of relationship Baker Mayfield has with Todd Bowles. I do know that he wasn't guaranteed a spot. There was talk about Kyle Trask taking over as starter. Denver Gator, where did Kyle Trask play ball at?
Oh, yeah, he's a Gator, but he's irrelevant. Like, if you can't beat out Baker Mayfield, that's fine. Baker Mayfield, top of his class, whatever, I get it. But Kyle Trask, he was a good, borderline great college quarterback, but he is not an NFL quarterback.
No, unfortunately.
I love Kyle Trask to death. Don't get me wrong. Like, I loved what he was doing, but he's not an NFL quarterback. Baker, if he's smart, he does resign, like one pride saying, resign with Tampa. You already know the system. You already know the players. Give it another year and watch how much you can do. Like, they'll put an extra couple pieces on defense, maybe help out the O-line a little bit, get your running back, like you were saying.
I had his name on top of my head, and I'm not joking. Like that guy, I know a lot of people say don't draft a running back in the first round. I'm telling you right now, if you get a running back who's 240 and he gets into 4.5 range at the combine, and he's got better hands than you think.
How tall is he? Is he like as big as Derrick Henry?
He's almost the same size as Derrick Henry, almost.
Dude, I love a running back like that.
I think that what he's going to do is I think he's going to try to get in the 230 range, and I think he's going to try to really work hard on trying to improve that 40 time, which I think will be very important. Laporta says, or I'm sorry, One Pride 40 says Laporta over Hawk. I think so.
Yep.
And Hawkinson
I agree.
UCL, MCL. He was having a great year, by the way, from Minnesota. Believe it or not, that trade was a win-win for both teams. Like, he's having a great year with the Vikings. It's really sad that he messed up his knee. He's going to be out.
Man, everybody on the Vikings is just like getting shot like one at a time, like at a firing range. Like they're just all falling apart in Minnesota.
I want to touch base on a few more games here. Raiders at Colts. The Raiders ruined everybody's Christmas.
Indeed, they did. Screw the Raiders.
Yeah, the Colts are a 3.5-point favorite at home. Break down this game here. Who do you like?
I would have to say, as a Broncos fan, I want Vegas to win to knock out the Colts. But I hate the Raiders, so I have to root for the Colts on this one. The Broncos aren't going to get into the postseason, so might as well, or into the playoffs, might as well just start picking teams that I like. And Vegas has been showing up lately, man. That interim head coach has got them playing hard. They just beat the Chiefs, man. Like, that's not an easy feat.
No.
Like, the Chiefs beat the Broncos, 16 times in a row? Like, that's not an easy feat to go into Arrowhead and win like they did. Like, that was a ridiculous game, right? Like, did they have like negative passing yards in like the third quarter or some shit like that?
Yeah. We had in the first quarter, it was like negative 18 yards. It was just crazy. And
they didn't complete a pass after the first quarter, did they?
The Raiders just came. I'm sorry, what was that?
The Raiders didn't complete a pass after the first quarter, right?
They did. They went it was like a weird streak. They missed, like, the Chiefs defense played phenomenal. But the Raiders just came ready to play. I mean, Antonio Pierce had those guys fired up, and I was really, really impressed with the Raiders. If Antonio Pierce is not the head coach of the Raiders next year, I hope that they never win another game ever. I like that. That just seems to be a no-brainer.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. I would like the Colts. I like what Steichen's doing over there. Gardner Minshew seems to be like a really good fit, a placeholder. He's a baller, and if they could just contain like Max Crosby and maybe like two other people, the Colts could go off. Like, if they could just, like I said, contain like Max Crosby of all people, I think the Colts could just really just dice them up. But we're talking about Max Crosby, though. Like, that dude's going to get to the quarterback, like, no matter what.
Seriously, if the Raiders are a playoff team, Max Crosby's probably Defensive Player of the Year.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
He's that good. He's that good. Jonathan Taylor is coming back. He missed the last couple of games. I've been telling people.
Oh, is he coming back?
He's back. Yeah, and that's big.
That's good.
Because you get Jonathan Taylor. You got some receivers. You got a defense. I've been telling people, like, don't sleep on the Colts. Like, you get a healthy Jonathan Taylor. He's well rested. I mean, Minshew can make some plays. You got a good defense. I mean,
they got two really decent wide receivers too. Like
they're tall dudes. They drafted that rookie out of North Carolina. I'm drawing a blank on his name.
That's funny one, Pride.
They got some players.
That's fucking hilarious.
This is awesome, by the way. By the way, I want to say this though, like the Detroit Lions. Why did the Detroit Lions wear all blue at Minnesota? Why did Minnesota wear the white? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I guess it was like that.
I'm watching the game and I'm like, okay, I thought the game was in Minnesota. By the way, I'm going to say something like the all blue. Me and my sister were both like the Lions in all blue. That is fucking awesome. I
agree. That is sharp.
Blue, that is tight. I don't like it when teams change things up, but the all blue is just fucking awesome. Awesome. Another team that should go back, the Titans going with the old school Oilers. I love that too. I wish they would do that every game.
That's kind of messed up though, right? Tennessee rocking out the Oilers when the Texans are in town.
It is. It really is. It really is. But dude, those Oilers uniforms are cool, man.
I like the uniforms back in the day, but I thought it was so messed up that they wore those like when Houston was in town. Like, oh my gosh, man, that's a troll move. Like that is trolling, and they ended up winning. Like
it is.
That's beautiful.
Dude, that is a great name. I didn't know this. I didn't know you called it. Dude, the blueberries are fucking tight. I mean, me and my sister, we're not
nice blueberries.
Like,
right on.
Yeah, we're watching. We're like the all blue is cool. I'll tell you, okay, they don't do it often. They did it only once this year. The Chiefs, when they go all white with the red helmet, that's fucking badass. And by the way, yeah, the Vikings. I'm saving this one for last because I think it's a lot of fun. But so Denver Gator, you like the Colts here?
I do. I could see it going down to the last field goal, like the last second type of win, or a 2-point conversion that wasn't converted by the Raiders, like to go up. I don't know about 3.5 though.
You know how I feel about 3. I would not. Okay. On my picks video, I picked Colts to cover. I would not bet this. I would not.
No, that's a stay away game all day.
Yeah. The all whites are called the marshmallows. That's fucking sweet. I love it. Denver Gator. Okay, so one of my upset picks, Titans, Texans. I like the Texans because Stroud has cleared concussion protocol, but he's been out for a few weeks. I like Tennessee here. Is
Tannehill starting again?
I think it's Levis. Let me double check.
I thought Levis got knocked out.
He didn't play last week, but he's good this week. And I'm going to double check, but I believe it's going to be Levis. I believe Levis is getting the start. I'm 90%. Yeah, Levis is getting the start. So your boy Levis is going to be. It's going to be Levis against Stroud. But I really like this. And the reason why I like it is that I like the Tennessee defense against the Houston offense with Stroud. That's kind of my logic. I think Derrick Henry has a big.
I think we were talking about that before the show. Is Titans are going to play spoiler to some teams the last couple games.
Yeah, I've been really high on the Titans, and I like Levis taking over as the quarterback. But yeah, I like that's my upset pick. Am I crazy? Do you like Houston?
No. I like Houston for the story and C.J. Stroud coming out and looking amazing. But he's been out for 2 weeks. Is he going to be able to jump back in the groove, and him and Nico Collins going to hook up, or is he going to be rusty? Is he going to be scared because he got his concussion? Is he going to play a little bit more cautious? Because that defense is going to come after him. And if he's not ready for it, he's going to get his world rocked.
Yeah, I like the defense. They're eliminated from the playoffs. They lost last week. I think Tennessee's a team that's interesting. So the Bengals.
I don't disagree with the upset pick on that, especially because it's such a small point spread. It's more of a coin flip, but I can see Tennessee winning that.
Houston's a 4-point favorite, so I like Tennessee to win outright. So obviously, like of all the games, I kind of like Tennessee covering 4 here is really good because I could see Houston winning a close game. So I this would be like the game I would probably bet on.
If they lose the next 2, is Vrabel gone?
That's an interesting story because there was multiple reports that New England wanted their next head coach to be Vrabel. And it wouldn't surprise me. Tennessee's one of those franchises, who knows what the hell they're going to do. By the way, One Pride, I really want to hate the all-white, but it is pretty cool. I really wanted to hate it. I tried to hate on it, but I'm like, no, that's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Don't as long as you're not doing all black. Any team that does the new all black is stupid. I hate them. So, but yeah.
Don't you have a Chiefs game or uniforms like that for the Chiefs?
No.
All black?
No, but there's on social media. There's been several concepts. There's been several of the Chiefs with the black helmets, and I always put the same thing. These are trash. You suck for posting this. That's probably why I got kicked off of Facebook.
I don't know. I like the Bengals all white. Like it's like an albino tiger theme. Like I kind of actually dig those whites.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. But you're wearing the marshmallows. That's actually going to be pretty cool. Actually, I kind of like it. But the all blue is really sweet. All blue.
I agree. That looks sharp against the Broncos. They look good in those uniforms.
All right, Denver Gator. This is the game I was just stumped on. I was completely stumped. Pittsburgh at Seattle. Seattle's a 3.5-point favorite. Geno Smith's going to start. He's banged up. Kenny Pickett comes back from a few weeks being on the bench. Correction. I'm sorry. When I made the video, I thought Pickett was coming back. It turns out to be they're going to go with Mason Rudolph again. The point spread has not changed at all, whether it's Rudolph or Pickett. Man, I want to get your opinion on this one.
I think Seattle's 12th man. That stadium is something different, something special. Pittsburgh is not that great of a team. They just kind of are fortunate. I wouldn't say lucky. Like, I don't believe in luck in football games. They're very fortunate on how the ball's bounced in their favor a couple times, and they caught a couple teams sleeping. But to go all the way to the West Coast and travel there against a team that's trying to make it to the playoffs, they're hungry, they're ready to go and be prepared. Geno's back, and that 12th man, like that stadium, it's what, second to Arrowhead for how loud it is? It's like top 3. Play. I know that, right?
It's a tough place to play, and you pretty much echoed the same thing I said because I mean, you know, originally I was thinking the rust from Kenny Pickett would be an issue, but I mean, Mason Rudolph, this was a guy I absolutely loved coming out of Oklahoma State. I thought he was just going to be a star. I have no idea why things didn't work out.
It's weird. Pittsburgh Steelers fans love Mason Rudolph for some reason. I don't know why they have such an obsession with that guy.
I loved him coming out of college. I thought he was just going to be a great quarterback coming out of Oklahoma State. I love this kid. I don't understand why they didn't turn to him sooner when Trubisky was having all these problems. Actually, to be honest with you, I don't know why they got Trubisky. I don't know why they want to move on from Mason Rudolph because, I mean, I think the guy has everything it takes to be an NFL quarterback. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's a dick in the quarterback room. I have no idea. But
Yeah, I don't think. What's the spread on that one? 4.5,
3.5. Seattle's at
3.5. Yeah, I think Seattle will cover that. I don't think Pittsburgh can go in their atmosphere and win.
Okay. Now, I got a game I know you're going to agree with me on. This is one of my upset picks. Chargers go into Denver. Denver's a 3.5-point favorite. I picked the Chargers to win, and I know you're completely on board with that.
No, I'm thinking not so much. That's in Denver, right?
Yep, it's in Denver.
Yeah, they're not gonna compete with us in Mile High. Like they just won't. Like the Chargers are.
So Stidham's the answer then. Like not you benched Russell Wilson.
I think he's gonna play 2 good games, and that's gonna be the last we ever hear him.
He'll go back to. He'll be on another NFL. Yeah. By the way, he was a Raider last year, so I mean.
Yep, he replaced Carr.
Yeah.
What, the last 3 or 4 games or whatever last year? So he's pretty much doing the same thing to Russell.
He had 1 or 2 good games, and by the way, Stidham's a guy coming out of Auburn I really liked. He had a bad senior year, but he's got some athleticism. I like the Chargers, and the only reason I like the Chargers is I think Brandon Staley is just such a terrible coach. I think that team is loaded. The Chargers are loaded. The only problem is coach. Easton Stick is creative.
Who's their interim?
It's like the special teams coach or something, a guy I've never even heard of. Because I assumed it was going to be Kellen Moore, the offensive coordinator. I thought it was going to be him, but they went. It's like it's a special teams coach I've never heard of before, to be honest with you. But they're playing a lot better. I think that this is going to be a low scoring game. The over under 37. I would never take
that's a low over under, and it's still probably go under
37 in an NFL game unless there was like a 50-mile-an-hour wind or something,
a hurricane, or yeah, exactly. 3 foot of snow.
Do it. But I mean, to me, this game's got like 17-14 written all over it. I like the Chargers because I think that they're just going to play an ugly game. I think it's going to come down to turnovers. I mean, Easton Stick's not the answer, but it's going to be a fun game. Like I said, the Chargers are an upset pick. Denver Gator.
I think the Broncos win. I think the Broncos went out and still missed the playoffs, and I think Sean Payton knows that. I think Sean Payton knows that we can win the next 2 games and still be nothing. I think that's why he did it at the time that he did.
Well, so by the way, if you're curious, I don't have any graphics here, so I apologize. But right now there are 5 8-7 teams, and I'm sorry. Correction, there is 4. No, there's 5. I'm sorry. There's 5 8-7 teams in the AFC alone.
Denver, we're 7 and 8.
Yeah,
yep.
And because of that, now Houston and Indianapolis play each other. So even if both teams lose, one of those teams is going to get the 9. Right. Cincinnati, nobody wants to see them win. I agree with Denver Gator. Pittsburgh's going to lose, but the final game of the season, let's see, Pittsburgh is going to play. Oh boy, they play at Baltimore. But Baltimore could be resting starters because they got the playoffs kind of lined up. But I could see Baltimore putting in their starters just to give Pittsburgh the middle finger. Jacksonville is going to win.
What's the Steelers' record right now? Are they almost at 500?
Teams. Pittsburgh's one of those 5 8-7 teams.
So they need to win one more to get the 500 again for like the 11th year in a row or whatever.
Yeah. They just need one. Pittsburgh. It wouldn't surprise me if Baltimore just rests their starters if they beat Miami, and
well, then they lock up the number 1 seed, right? They don't have anything to play for.
Yeah, Baltimore wins against Miami. Baltimore has the 1 seed, and that's why I can see them resting starters. By the way, if Baltimore loses to Miami, they will beat Pittsburgh.
They'll beat the brakes off of Pittsburgh if they lose to Miami.
Exactly, but I don't see it happening. I think they rest starters and go into the bye rested. That's what I see, but. Denver. If Denver wins out, I still think they are on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I think that's why Peyton did what he did at this particular time. Even if they went out with Stidham, then we're still not going to get in. There has to be too many factors of other teams losing and, placement and all that. They should have beat the Houston Texans, and this wouldn't be a conversation. They definitely should never have lost to New England. That was an embarrassment. And, if you go back to the beginning of the season, we should have beat the Raiders. We should have beat the Commanders.
I called the Patriots win. I knew that was going to happen.
That's disgusting. I can't believe the Patriots of all teams. It was a last-second field goal, too. That's what pisses me off even more.
About the Patriots is that they're picking up steam to knock themselves out of draft position.
I know, right? They're at 4 now, right?
Pick locked up. Now they're at 4, and they're not going to be able to trade down. I wanted New England to have the number 2 pick in the draft because I thought that would be so much fun. But no, they knocked it out. So.
You think New England takes a tackle?
I do. I'm going to tell you something.
Like 4.
I'm gonna tell you something. Joe Alt is quick. I'm not going to do a big board, but if I did do a big board, I think Joe Alt would be my number 2 player. I think
after Harrison.
Yeah, I think New England's going to fall in love with this kid, and New England picks 4th. I think they're going to pick Joe Alt. I really do. I think that they're going to pick him up, and then
you think they're just going to get a veteran quarterback to come in?
No. Okay, so we'll do a little draft talk here. Here's what I think is going to happen. New England picks 4th, 36, and 60. They have no extra draft picks, so I'll stop there. I should just stop there. There's going to be a team in the bottom of the first round. New England's going to trade back in, and they're going to draft a quarterback late in the first round. I'm looking at Detroit picking at 28. I think Detroit's going to trade out of the first round. Lions fans disagree, but I think Detroit's going to trade out of the first round because they want draft picks and they want to stock with depth because this is going to be the first time Detroit's going to lose starters to free agency. And I think they'll replace them with younger players. I think Detroit's a team that could trade out of the first round. Seattle at 21, you never know what Seattle's going to do in the draft. Seattle and New England making a trade could make sense. Kansas City, which is picking at 25. Hopefully they pick lower than that. But if Kansas City's picking at 25, they may want to trade down because this is a deep wide receiver class. They could maybe get a first-round receiver at 36. I could also see Kansas City trading out. Philly at 30. That would be another team. I think it's unlikely that they go this high, but Cincinnati's picking at 18. Could New England trade all the way up to 18?
Do they have the capital to trade all the way up to 18? Like you just said, they only have like 3 picks, right?
You would have to give up picks next year. There's also a possibility you give up a player. I don't know. I mean, New England could trade a player. It would be interesting, but I think New England will trade back into the first round, and I'm kind of circling like Bo Nix.
If they trade back into the first to get out of a QB, who do you think they have their target on? I think more than likely to be there in that spot.
I personally could see a guy like Bo Nix, and I think the offense that they ran at Oregon, I think Bo Nix is a guy that could potentially slide in this draft, and I think New England's looking at what he did at Oregon and then what he did at Auburn, where he ran the ball a lot. Bill O'Brien, because he faced Bo Nix at Auburn, has a little bit of information on him. I kind of think Bo Nix is a guy that they're kind of circling. To his younger brother, I think would also be an interesting guy that New England may target.
Do you think he's going to be in the first?
No. I think New England, if they don't go a quarterback and they can't make a trade, don't be surprised if New England takes to his younger brother at either in the second or third round. And they would trade down because I think I got like a second, third round grade on them. But I think Bo Nix is a guy, I think to his younger brother. But I think New England at 4, they take their tackle and solidify that offensive line, and then I think they attack quarterback later in the draft. Remember, your boy Levis lasted to pick number 34. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it, because I think Bo Nix, like somebody asked what would be my comp, I'd say Will Levis, but I like Levis's arm talent a little more. So, all right, the final game that I'm going to ask you about, Denver Gator, Green Bay at Minnesota. Minnesota is now a 1-point favorite. I thought they would drop more. They're going with the 5th round rookie. I forgot his name, the kid out of BYU. So they're playing musical quarterbacks again. I forgot the kid's name. I apologize to everybody because I completely forgot. But I know he's a 5th round pick out of BYU.
5th round quarterbacks usually tend to not be remembered. So we're not going to hold that against you.
All right, Jared.
5th round quarterback.
I actually watched this kid play at BYU. I actually really liked the kid, Jared.
Yeah, he replaced Zach Wilson, didn't he?
Yeah. And here's the deal. So here's the deal. I'm pulling this on our lads. He's 6 foot 207. I'm telling you this right now. Watch this kid play. If this kid was like 6'2", he would have gone like 2nd or 3rd round. But because he's 6 foot 207. He's athletic, not the biggest arm in the world, but I like the kid.
So basically, he's like Baker Mayfield size, right?
Yeah, he's Baker Mayfield size. Yeah.
Okay.
Baker's got a little. I think Baker's got a little bit of a stronger arm. Of course, remember he got hurt, and then that's how the whole thing with Josh Dobbs started, was because he went down, and then Dobbs stepped in, won that game against Atlanta, and then everybody went Dobbs nuts for those 2 weeks. So we're now back down to Hall getting the start, 5th round rookie, 2nd start of the year.
Do you think that's the Vikings just giving up to see what they have in the future? Like throwing in the white or waving the white flag? Because your best bet would be Nick Mullins, right? Like, did he just throw it all over the yard last week?
Mullins didn't have a terrible game. They threw way too many picks. I liked Mullins coming out of college. I like Dobbs coming out of college. Hall, I watched play, but I don't think he's an NFL quarterback. Minnesota, I don't believe that. I think Minnesota really wants to move on from Cousins. And it's really weird because I don't know why nobody wants to say Cousins is our guy for the next 5 years. And I know there's age and everything, but Minnesota's been stringing Cousins along. I'm convinced Cousins is just an absolute dick in the locker room. I'm convinced he's just a dick. I'm convinced everybody hates him. I didn't watch the Netflix special. Like I heard he was like a really good guy, but I don't know.
Do you think it's because he keeps getting these big contracts and never like doing anything in the playoffs is why every team is kind of standoffish?
I have no idea, but I think Minnesota wants nothing to do with Cousins unless he wants to sign for like dirt cheap or something.
Yeah, he's not going to sign dirt cheap.
No, I think Minnesota is. I think Minnesota's just throwing shit against the wall and seeing what sticks. They're going to go in a different direction, and I'm convinced that they just want to draft a guy. And it'll be interesting to see who they look at.
Where are they at in the draft for a 1st round pick?
Right now, keep in mind, this is all subjective, but Minnesota right now picks 15th.
So they could be in the market for Penix Jr. if they want to maneuver a little bit.
That's the guy that I'm thinking Minnesota really likes.
Put him with Justin Jefferson and the other wide receiver?
Yeah, Addison. I like Addison. Yeah, think Penix Jr. in Minnesota to me really seems like it's a fit. I got a weird feeling about it. I got a feeling Kevin O'Connell can work on the hit that I'm convinced. I'm going to watch more on Penix, and that's kind of the thing I'm excited about. But if you watch Penix throw, he's got this weird sideways. Keep in mind, Phillip Rivers had a weird throwing motions. Had a great career. I know how much you love Phillip Rivers. So,
Phillip Rivers, he was always just more of a comedy thing to me as a fan, like trying to trash talk, without cussing. or whatever, or like Derek Wolf.
Phillip Rivers.
Derek Wolf hates Phillip Rivers.
Oh God!
Yeah, he told Phillip Rivers in a game one time, "I'm going to eat you and your children." Derek Wolf is hardcore.
There is not one player I feared more coming into Arrowhead than Phillip Rivers.
He's
always kicking your ass. There was so many games. It was like both ways though. Like he had several games where there was one game in particular. All you had to do was just take a kneel, and they win the game, and he fumbled it. And then there was another game. It was like the first time the Chiefs lost against an AFC West opponent in forever. They were up by 14 with like 5 minutes in the fourth quarter, and Rivers just ding, ding, ding. And then they go for 2 with like almost no time left, and they make it. Like Rivers just always stuck it in our ass.
He is the reason why we say Chargers are charging, right? Like, yep. It's a flip of the coin what Phillip Rivers is going to do in a game. It's either going to be epic or it's going to be like total failure.
You never know. But I've been like when I do my draft, I'm pretty sure I'm going to link Penix Jr. and Minnesota together, and it wouldn't surprise me if Minnesota trades up and tries to get Penix. I just think it works.
I think that's a great combo.
I think it's a great combo.
With the wide receivers that they have, the young wide receivers, young tight end.
Yeah, and right now I have Penix above Bo Nix, but I can't wait to watch them both. But like I said, he's got this throwing motion. I can't wait to see it against Texas, because if he lights up Texas and they beat and they go into the national championship, I want to see how it affects this draft stock. Because I think Jaden Daniels is going to get a ton of hype in the next couple of weeks. He's going to get like that Anthony Richardson hype.
Yeah, he needs to put on some weight. But yeah, Daniels is special too. He needs to put on the, what do you call it, the freshman 20?
I call it the NFL 20. Yeah.
The NFL 20, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, if you watch this is something I noticed, is that Bryce Young didn't work out at the combine, but he wore a hoodie and then he wore a backpack. And he did that to make himself look bigger. And that was a smart move. And it wouldn't surprise me if you see Jaden Daniels wearing like this huge coat, even though
just a big old parka, just walking around like a marshmallow.
They had at Indy Combine, because they're just wearing tank top and sweats. They crank up the heat. So if you see somebody wearing like a full coat, he's hot as hell. Like I'm just letting you know that. So but you watch Jaden Daniel be like wearing like a giant coat, and
that's funny.
Yeah,
that's hilarious that you caught that angle. I would have never thought about it. That's hilarious. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Bryce Young didn't work out, but he wore a backpack at the combine, and it's like, I know what you're doing. I caught that. Yeah. So this is why you tune in, because I catch him. So
I think Green Bay wins this though.
Green Bay, I got Green Bay winning too. I'll be honest with you, I'm a little surprised Green Bay's a 1-point dog in this one.
I think because their defense has just been shit in the bed the last couple of weeks, that nobody can trust them.
If you're starting a new quarterback and your team's, because Jordan Love was a guy I never believed in, and he's turned me into a believer. He really has. Do I think he's elite? No. But do I think that you got your guy? Yeah, I do. And I keep telling Chiefs fans, by the way, I keep hearing Mike Evans to Kansas City. He's been saying this for a couple weeks now. I like what Green Bay did in the draft, is that they didn't get a receiver in the first round, but they drafted 3 receivers and 2 tight ends. And it's taken some time to gel, but you can kind of see the offense starting to come together. And I like Green Bay in this one. But what
about Evans to the Jets?
They keep talking about Evans leaving, but if they do win the division like you think, why wouldn't you want to stay there? I mean, if you win the division and you're a playoff team, and why do you want to leave? Everybody just assumes he's going to leave. I don't know why you want to go.
I don't know. He's putting up 1,000-yard seasons ever since he entered the league. Why would he want to? Yeah,
I mean, there's not. I think there's only like one other receiver in NFL history who's done the same thing. So I mean, I could be wrong, but that's
was it Randy Moss? Maybe.
It wasn't Moss. It's not Moss. It's not Moss. I can't think who it is. I don't think it's Rice either, but it could be. But I mean, what Mike Evans is, I'll go back to college because I think Evans is more responsible for Johnny Manziel's Heisman than anybody.
I believe that since day one. Like, yeah. I've never liked Johnny Manziel, and it was always about Evans and Von Miller. Those are the only two players on that team that made a difference.
Perry comes in north of the border. He says, "Hey, Dan, hey, One Pride, the Sun God will get paid." Yeah, he will. That's a guy I was so wrong about. I told you guys for I think years that his ceiling is a number 2, and he's so good. I was so wrong about that guy. I was so wrong about that guy.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, I remember the conversations like he's a number 2 at best.
I said that over and over and over again, just like I said, Chiefs 41, Lions 23. So listen, Denver Gator has been on here for a very, very long time. I want to get him out of here. He's been partying. He's going to – hopefully I can get Denver Gator to come on here and live stream on hopefully I see him in the comments Sunday, even though he's going to be partying. I know he's excited about his Chiefs.
Oh, I'll be in the live stream on Sunday. Yeah.
I can't wait. So New Year's before you start – now Denver Gator's already partying, but before you party – the live stream is going to be for those of you who are on the Eastern time zone. I know Perry's Mountain. A lot of you guys from Detroit, you're not partying at 8. You're not partying. Come on, man. Wait till the live stream's over, then enjoy your New Year. So join me New Year's Eve from Central Time about 3:30 to 6:30. Maybe it'll be 7 if we got overtime. You never know. But Denver Gator, before we get out of here, man, final thoughts, questions, anything that you want to go over before we get out of here?
This weekend is epic for some good football games. Like the next 3 days of football, it's just going to be great on every scale. College to NFL, like there's a lot of good games to watch and keep track of. Like a lot of eyes are going to be on the college games, and a lot of eyes are going to be on some of these seed matchups, like for first seed, in the NFC and first seed in the AFC. And yeah, there's going to be a lot of eyes watching football this weekend, and I love it. We're going to have like 3 days of just glorious football. And
I'm so excited about this. And by the way, Perry, I watched part of that special, and it just kind of disgusted me. Manziel didn't even try in the NFL. I mean, he just didn't even try, and it just disgusted me. I was just so mad. But yeah, as far as a college quarterback, nobody was more exciting to watch than Manziel.
Tim Tebow. Tim
Tebow was better. He was not more exciting. He was not more exciting. I'll disagree there. But I mean, but Tim Tebow's a better college quarterback. At least that's my opinion. But as far as excitement, I'll go with Manziel. Better if I could choose which one, it would be Tebow. Not even close. But yeah, Denver Gator is just amazing. I wish he'd come on more often, but he parties hard. So, I mean, I get it,
Hey, Chad, thanks for the acknowledgement, buddy. I appreciate that. Thanks to you too, man, for showing up in the chat. I had a good time. I always have a good time when I'm talking with you, Dan. Like you and I have talked for hours before, like off camera or whatever.
Seriously, some of our off camera stuff is almost better. Some of the off camera stuff's almost better, but we get a little bit more
graphic, I would say.
Graphic. Yeah, we're going to use the word graphic, so that's kind of what we're going to go in. Manziel didn't have his head on right. He was a rich kid with no drive. You're 100% correct. I mean, the thing is with Manziel, so much fun. But if you watch that special on Netflix, is that it was just it just disgusted me. Like he told
you that he never even studied. He never
No.
watched film. He didn't study. All he was doing was partying all the time. He let his natural talent win for him. That's like straight from his mouth.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. It really disgusted me, and I was just it just bothered me. It just bothered me. Yeah. But we're going to end on that note. Don't forget to join me. I haven't set up the stream yet. I'll have it probably set up later tonight. So join me on New Year's Eve for Chiefs Bengals. And then don't forget also, I'll remind you guys later during the week, but I will have a special Black Monday show. I will be live on Black Monday. I will be live on Tuesday, and I will be live on Friday as always. So guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and I hope you all can come back on Sunday for Chiefs Bengals.
Yeah, definitely. Join us in chat. We'll be there.
All right, guys, have a great night. I'll see you later.